Good evening, and we are live. Arsenal Fans TV Extra. We're going to be reviewing yesterday's game, Arsenal-Chelsea. Disappointing defeat. Excuse my language. Trying to get my words out. It's been a while since I've done one of these shows, so I'm a bit rusty. So bear with me. Joining me on tonight's show, I've got Kenny. Ken, good evening, Kenny. How are you?
Like I said, still hurting very badly.
I know exactly how you feel, mate. We've got Lee Gunner. Good evening, Lee.
Evening, lads.
You're going to meet George Michael in your car.
Yeah, I'm trying to plug in the spot as we speak, mate.
And joining us from Greece, Greece, we've got Demetrius. Good evening, Demetrius. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Good. I'm just trying still to understand what happened, and I'm aching, man, like everybody else.
Exactly how you feel, mate. Listen, guys, what we're going to do, if you're watching us live, if you want to tweet the panel, use the hashtag ArsenalFanTV Extra. The panel will be picking up your tweets. I'm going to be going through a number of callers this evening. And joining us first this evening is a gentleman who I've got a lot of respect for. It's Mr. Claude. How are you, Claude?
How's everyone?
Well, we've had better days, Claude, if we're being honest, mate. But, yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Claude, myself personally, I'm a bit disappointed with yesterday. After the Watford game, I wanted to see a response from the players. Claude, I mean, was it the tactics? Was it the team? Was it Chelsea was just too good for us? What went wrong in your opinion?
Well, the weather didn't help. The weather was all right in the first place, so that was good. I think more it was more to do. I think everything went wrong. The tactics, everything, the team selection was all wrong.
Yeah,
I don't think he didn't pick the right team. He didn't pick the right team against Watford. First 10 minutes, I thought we was okay. Mm. We conceded a goal when everyone drops their heads. It's the same old story. There's no. Yeah, all right. That first goal, all right. It's debatable. It could have been.
Well, do you think that was a foul, Claude? Because I'm getting loads of tweets coming in this evening to me saying it was a foul. I mean, we saw Jamie.
Even so, right? It's a foul. We get on. It should make us respond even more. Get us more angry. Get us going. You fight. Mm. You put a wrong line. You don't drop your heads. You go and fight again. You don't just drop. And that's why we haven't got any leadership. We haven't got no leaders in the team. There isn't any leadership. I don't know if the boys agree with me. There's no leadership in the team at all.
I was very disappointed yesterday, Claude, with two players in particular. Francis Coquelin, who I thought was give the ball away first for the first goal, and the second goal was where we tried a little flick, burst him past him, knocked him spinning, and then the second player I was disappointed with was Koscielny. I thought the defending for the second goal was particularly poor.
The whole defence was poor. I also think, I don't know if the boys agree with me. I mean, I think in the situation when Bellerin came off as well, why don't we move Mustafi at right back? Because he can be comfortable at full back, more comfortable than Gabriel, and move Gabriel at centre half. I don't know if you agree with me on that, Mems, as well.
Well, it's a point that someone raised yesterday that Mustafi actually plays right back, I believe, for Germany. So he's more comfortable than Gabriel.
He can do that job, and he could probably do it better than Gabriel can.
No, I agree with you. Claude, well, you was at the game yesterday. I mean, I see a couple of tweets afterwards, but I didn't see anything on TV. There was talk about some trouble in the away end. Did you see anything yesterday?
Yeah, there was a couple of fights. There was someone holding a banner up on the upper tier. It wasn't good. I mean, I don't think it's really particularly good. I don't think you should do it at their ground. You know what I mean? Especially as they're all singing, you shouldn't show it at their ground that we're angry. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you understand where I'm coming from, it did go off a bit, but but that's what's happening. The fan base is completely divided now. It's going to happen. Can you hear me? All right?
Yeah, can hear you absolutely fine, mate. I mean,
and the fan base is completely divided, mate. But it's all down to the manager, mate. I mean, the manager's created this. Yeah. He's been there too long. He's been there.
Claude,
it's time now. It's time out. Otherwise, we're going to get this same old story next season. And if he goes another 2 years, I'm going to do like Lee does. I'm going to do exactly the same as Lee.
Yeah.
Does. I'm boycotting it as well.
Well, that's Lee Judges, who said on the same old Arsenal podcast the other day that if Arsene Wenger signs a new contract, he's not gonna renew his season ticket. He's gonna stay away. So, and Claude, do you feel like that as well? You feel
the other Lee, I think he's been boycotting it since Wenger's there. Is that right?
Lee Gunner.
Yeah.
6 years. I think. 6 years.
6 years. You've been boycotting Lee.
Yeah, I've been to one game. Yeah,
because it's me. Do you know what, man? I'm not being funny. I'm not one of these. I've been going for years on this, mate.
Yeah.
Before even Twitter and all this come out, I've been going ever since we lost that cup final against Birmingham, mate. When it was incredible. We lost the cup final against a team that was relegated, right? Ever since we lost that cup final, I've been saying that it was time. And we've not got any more. We've gone further and further down. I don't think we've got any. All right, we won the FA Cup, but this is an FA Cup that has been won by Wigan, by the way, and teams like Wigan and Portsmouth in the last few years. You can't go on that, mate.
So, cool. Let me ask you this, mate. Before I take your call to the panel, mate. Season in the top 4, above Spurs. Or do you think that's a failure?
No, it's not a success. This team is not a success. With this squad he's got, mate, I'm not being funny. This squad he's got, if we had the right man, look, if we had swapped these managers over yesterday, we had the other guy in our camp, mate. We will be in their position, mate. Right? There's no doubt about it. This man is a one-trick pony, and and that's for Mesut Ozil. I mean, this is another thing I've got. Right? I'm so angry about Mesut Ozil. Now, this guy, I mean, it winds me up. I mean, how many away games does he not bother to turn up as well? I said he's linked with Barcelona. He'd be lucky to sell programs there, mate. Do you know what I'm saying, mate?
I know what you're saying, mate. I know. And to be honest with you, I mean, he gets a lot of criticism. I mean, I see Jason Cundy's interview on ArsenalFanTV yesterday with Robbie, and he was glowing because basically everything that he said about Mesut Ozil over the last couple of years, Mesut Ozil proved him right. But listen, Mesut Ozil was a class player. He didn't deliver for us yesterday. In some away games, he hasn't delivered. But we can't really. I mean, as Arsenal fans, we do it a lot. We pick out certain players. We pick out Czech. We pick out, Ramsey. We pick out players. Go on, mate.
I mean, I thought Alexis was poor, but he's been carrying us as well. He's been carrying this team over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
If we didn't have Alexis playing, if Alexis wouldn't be playing, mate, we'd be struggling to be fighting for Everton for the 7th place, mate. I mean, if we didn't have Alexis in the side, he's been carrying us in the last few weeks, mate.
Claude. Claude, I'm gonna love you and leave you, mate. I'm gonna take your call to the panel, and I'm gonna get Ken's response. Thank you very much, Claude, for your call. I'm gonna move on to other callers. All the best, Claude. Thanks very much for your call, sir. And he sounds so down, doesn't he? Old Claude, he's such a nice guy, but he sounds so down. Kenny, I'm going to come to you, touching on Claude's call on your views of the game as well. Claude saying Ozil disappeared. He's also saying that Alexis has been carrying us tactically. Wenger's not getting it right. What's your take on yesterday's game, mate? Touching on Claude's points.
Well, what's funny? I was there. I was in the away end, and I must admit that I put on Twitter this morning. I feel worse than I feel like yesterday, and also I felt like someone kicked me in the private parts of a steel boot. That's how hurt I am, and the hurt hasn't gone away because everything Claude says is 100% true. But if you start with the first goal, it was one of those things where 10 minutes, it's Evening Stevens, and I was sitting to the guy next to me. I said, "Look, we're playing okay, but how are we going to react if Chelsea go 1 up?" And he was there with his son. He said, "You're spot on, mate." It's a free kick situation. Walcott, a senior player who's played nearly over 200 games for the football club, has turned his back on Pedro. All right, Pedro's made that crossing, and then what's happened, right, is that Costa's got in front of his defender. I believe it's Michel. He hit the bar, and there wasn't a reaction. Now, it was a foul.
It was Bellerin, mate. It was Bellerin. Bellerin.
No,
Cross came in.
Yeah, but you know, like what's happened, right? It was Walcott who turned his back, though. It was Walcott who turned his back when Pedro's made it cross, and then the ball hits the bar. Bellerin is there with Alonso, and I thought, right, Bellerin, you got to react first as defender. You got to react first. If you don't win the header, you put him off. And I was pretty angry with him, but it's only at half time I saw the elbow going, and he was very unlucky to, like I said, give the goal. The second goal, unforgivable. It all started with Coquelin, as you said. He does a little flick, gets into trouble. They go on a counter attack, and then that's when they get their runners in. Hazard basically walks through our defence to Coquelin, and then when he gets in the penalty area, they're scared of fouling because they're scared of either taking one for the team or giving away a penalty. Second goal, third goal, you know, Gabriel's turned his back on Petr Cech. Now, don't get me wrong, Petr Cech was stupid, but Gabriel should be getting a play. It's 2-0 down. We're trying to force the play. He turns his back on Petr Cech, and then the third goal goes in. So,
Kenny, I'll talk to you about the second goal in particular. I mean, you rightly picked up that Francis Coquelin tried to flick and he tried to intercept Eden Hazard. Laurent Koscielny's defending there. He's had a little nibble at it, sort of like half-heartedly, and then he sort of backed off. You want your defender to close him down and attack him, don't you? Surely, I mean, could have Koscielny have done more there?
Well, that's the thing about Koscielny is that you guys, a lot of Arsenal fans, right? Koscielny, at the end of the day, certain centre halves have got strengths. Lawrence Koscielny's strength is he's a sweeper upper. He's very quick. He's very good on the ball. But in one-on-one situations, especially when players are on his shoulder or running at him, he's not the greatest there. We've seen it time and time again. We see it. If you look at how Chelsea are playing yesterday, they were isolating Koscielny, i.e. getting Costa to isolate Koscielny because Koscielny's not good on his shoulder. They were running at Koscielny. You look at the situation with Mustafi, one-on-one and people at pace, he makes his tackles. Koscielny doesn't do that, and that's not his strength. But saying that, from the first phase of play, when Coquelin, we're attacking, Coquelin is doing a little flick, they do the turnover. Again, they're running that defence, which means on the retreat, people having to do jobs they don't ever do it because simple reasons. We're in position and then we're out of position because what Coquelin done. And then when you're on the retreat, with a player like Hazard run at you when you're on the retreat, it's good. Like you either got to do two things. You either got to, like I said, hold his shirt and take one for the team outside the box. In the box, you can't tackle him because you tackle a player's place, he's going down. That's a penalty. But that should never have happened. Not in a million years. And it's a whole situation as well. Chelsea were better than us in that respect. They weren't easy on us as well, because they could have had 4 or 5. Because I was repeatedly, if you talk about Claus mentioned Mesut Ozil, and I agree with him 100%. Mesut Ozil went disappearing. He was on the periphery of the games, but in slight mitigation, when you don't have a player like Xhaka or Santiago Cazorla in the side, Mesut Ozil has to go and like I said, get in the midfield and search for the ball and then start the attacks. Mesut Ozil is useless from deep situations. His best position is in the last third, and he couldn't get in there. And in that respect, Chelsea did very well. But I want to touch on Alexis Sanchez. Now, I'm a massive fan of his, but I'm sorry, that performance was unacceptable. Unacceptable from a senior player. He made mistake after mistake.
I saw an analysis on Match of the Day, Ken. I'm sorry to cut you off, mate. I saw an analysis on Match of the Day. Yeah. During the game, he had 2 touches in the opposing half. I saw crosses coming in, and where was that? Where was Alexis, that striker? It wasn't even in the box.
Yeah, at all. But my problem with Alexis wasn't the fact that he couldn't striker. I ain't got a problem with that. My problem is that at every occasion, right, Chelsea had 2 or 3 players around him, and every time he'll hold on the ball too long, and then they'll make a tackle, and then Kante will sort out the play, and then we'll be on the attack. He did it time and time again in the second half and most of the first half, and that was my beef with Alexis Sanchez. I had no problem with the fact that he couldn't get in the game for the zone. I've got no problem in playing deep, but when you keep on making the same mistake after the same mistake, it's not acceptable, especially at that level. When you play against a team like Chelsea who presses you, it's 2-touch football, simple as. You don't hold on to the ball, and then Matic and Kante get the ball, and then Pedro and Pedro Alonso and Hazard are running at us. He was part of the problem, and you know if anyone could have gone off, it could have been him, Ozil, or Coquelin, and that's what really hurt me. The situation is naivety. The selection again. Danny Welbeck should have started ahead of Iwobi. Iwobi didn't do too badly.
I thought when Danny Welbeck came on, I thought he was our best player. To be honest,
Game
with you,
was lost. Game was over, mate.
Yeah.
Game was over. As far as I'm concerned, by the time he came on in the 68th minute, game was over. Chelsea were like comfortable, letting us come up on them and waiting for us to make a mistake. And you know, we look good with a 4-4-2, but as you well know, football, we don't play 4-4-2. It's always, because you play 4-4-2, what happens? You get outnumbered in midfield. But again, no.
Kenny, I'm going to bring you on panel. I'm going to come back to you in a second because I've got some more calls coming in. League, I want to come to you, mate. Get your point on something. I've had a tweet coming in asking me about Peter Cech. Is it time to drop Peter Cech and give David Ospina a chance, mate?
Yes, I say that sort of half-heartedly, really, because I've been a big fan of Cech, but at the end of the day, how long do you persist with someone who's making mistakes? Because these mistakes are costing us as well, and then we're having to chase games. At the end of the day, he has been one of the best keepers in the Premier League ever. Yeah, we've signed him, and he's not shown what he showed at Chelsea, if that makes sense. But then saying that, Chelsea had a quality back four. We haven't got a top draw, world-class back four in front of him. So it's going to highlight him as a goalkeeper when he's left in situations where he's wide open. But I mean, that yesterday for the Fabregas goal, I mean, I don't know about you lads, yeah, but I mean, I didn't expect to win anyway. Yeah, and if anyone did expect to win, fair play to him, because I didn't. And you know, the most ardent fan, I suppose Ty probably did, bless him. But I mean, when Fabregas scored that goal off of the Cech mistake, I just sat there laughing. It's just laughable. You know, at the end of the day, we see this time and time again. This could be 10 years ago. Different goalkeeper, same mistakes. Yeah.
Someone said to me yesterday, Lee, that if you copied and pasted some excuses from 10 years ago, you can reuse them time and time again, and they'll have exactly the same relevance as what they did yesterday.
Well, you can. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't keep blaming different sets of players for the same mistakes every season. You know, we've seen this for a long time, Mems. Goalkeeping mistakes, stupid goalkeeping mistakes, yeah? And to be honest with you, but based on this season, I think Cech's done. Yeah, and I don't think I'd be sat here saying that, but he's made so many big errors this season, in my opinion, and it's cost us. And
so like for Bayern Munich in the Champions League, you would play Ospina?
Well, he'll probably start anyway, because that's what Wenger's been doing. But I don't rate him that well either, to be honest with you. I think goalkeeping position at Arsenal's up for grabs. I think we should go and get a new one. Who that is, I don't know. But
there's talk of Jordan Pickford, isn't there? And there's talk about Fraser Foster.
I mean, that Pickford, he's a good young goalkeeper, but it's his first full season in the Premier League. Yeah, we can't judge that boy yet. Yes, he's playing at a team that are fighting relegation, and he has been brilliant. There's no doubt in that. But it's a big step up to go from a relegation battle into a Champions League game. Do you know what I mean? And
I do.
Then again, on the flip side of what I've just said, I'm going to sort of contradict myself a little bit here. I don't suppose it really matters what goalkeeper we go and get, because all the time we've got a midfield that just gets bypassed so easily, and then a back four that goes wandering off left, right and centre. You know, the goalkeeper's always going to get exposed, and you could be the best goalkeeper we could have Neuer in goal, or De Gea in goal. Yeah, we could have either one of them two in goal, and they'd still make mistakes, because it's not a goalkeeping problem, in my opinion. Yes, Cech's made some big errors this season, but I think it comes from a midfield error, which then leads to defensive errors, and so on and so on. And until we rectify that, we're going to constantly make the same mistakes season after season, and still be sat here on programs like this saying the same things. So until that gets sorted, you know, it don't really matter who the goalkeeper is, to be honest.
But Lee, we did sign Granit Xhaka for 30-odd million and Mustafi this season. So surely, you know, Wenger's trying to address it, isn't he?
Well, when he comes out with stuff like, I could have signed Kante, we're all looking at that thinking, well, hang on, Kante was cheaper, mate, and Premier League proven, a champion as well. He won the league, and he was easily one of the best players in the Premier League last season. So why come out and say that we could have signed Kante, but we didn't? We signed Granit Xhaka, who's never played it. And I rate Granit Xhaka, so let's get this twisted. Granit Xhaka is a good footballer, and I like the fact that he gets stuck in. He just needs to rein it in a tad. But Kante would have been ideal for us. Perfect destroyer. he just harasses people. He gets in their face. He wins tackle after tackle. And not only that, he can spring an attack within a second. And we see that yesterday. He was fantastic yesterday. And you know, the comparison in him and Coquelin yesterday, they were worlds apart, mate.
Coquelin that's probably the worst. I mean, I listened to DT's interview on ArsenalFanTV, and he said Coquelin was probably the worst game he's ever seen. And on that note,
and the legs.
On that note, guess who I've got waiting to speak to us?
Hello, boys and girls.
Hello, DT. Dimitris, I'm going to come to you in a second, but first I want to bring this gentleman in. Mr.
Absolutely.
DT, how are you?
Yeah, how you doing, man? You all right?
Not too bad, DT. Obviously, we've had better days. You know, coming off the back of the Watford defeat, I was expecting us to raise our game. Going to the Bridge, you know, it's always a tough place to go, but I thought, you know what, let's give it a go. But I listened to Theo Walcott's interview after the game, DT, and he says that Arsenal couldn't come to terms with a formation. I watched all the interviews on ArsenalFanTV, yourself, Troops, Claude, everyone just looks so dejected, but it's pretty much what we've been getting over the last couple of years, isn't it, mate?
Well, it's kind of, I wasn't angry yesterday because I wasn't surprised. You know, I've got to that stage now where I don't build myself up anymore because I get kicked in the bollocks. So it is what it is. Things are not going to change until the manager's gone. And everyone knows my opinion on that. Agree with it, disagree with it. I don't really care, to be quite honest.
DT, I think the tide is turning now, because I did see a few people on Twitter who are very loyal to Arsene Wenger and have been over the years. They're now starting to say that he's taken us as far as he can go, and it is now time to start thinking about a change.
Well, the only problem with that is, Menz, is that there's many flip-flops out there. And these same people that are saying, you know what, this is time for change now. We could beat Hull next weekend, draw a game, and they'll go, oh, we're only 10 points behind. Yeah, we're back in the title race. Finger in. Fools. That's what they are, fools. Stick to what you believe. Yeah, I said, the only way I'll change my views and my belief if Arsenal wins one of the big trophies. Sorry, he ain't winning any of them. He can't even win a game against one of the top 6 sides. Do you know what I mean? Have you seen how disgusting our record is against the current top 6 in the last 13 years? It's abysmal. Teams lower down the division put up a better fight when they go to the likes of Old Trafford, Stamford Bridge, the Etihad, etc. We go to these places and it's men against boys. Every single time.
Do you know what, DT? I mean, I was talking to Robbie this afternoon, and we was talking about, like, Arsene Wenger must have known the formation that Chelsea were going to play. You know, everyone knows what tactics they're playing at the moment. When Tottenham played Chelsea a couple of weeks ago, they went like for like. Chelsea didn't know what to do. Arsene Wenger, basically, I think he played a little bit of a curveball. He played Ozil out on the right, and he played Iwobi in the middle, but that didn't really seem to be working. Do you think that he does enough in terms of tactics? Studies the other team, the way they play, or are we just so predictable?
No, I think it's quite common that Wenger says that he doesn't pay attention to other teams. He pays attention to us and our qualities. And he's very much one of these that says, you know, the old saying, you score 3, we'll score 4. But the difference is the mentality of the players to do that. And earlier on in the season, you can go through all of my interviews when people were knocking one out in socks, thinking we were going to win everything possible. I was telling everyone to calm down. And I said, you know, we might be scoring last-minute goals, but the real test will come when we go to the likes of Old Trafford, the Etihad, Stamford Bridge, etc. And then we'll realise whether it is a new Arsenal or the same old, same old.
Yeah.
Well, we've been to Old Trafford, we've been to the Etihad, even Goodison Bridge, and it's the same old, same old. Watford on Tuesday night. Do you know what Do you know what it mirrors for me? Do you know what? Actually, Watford and Chelsea yesterday. Do you know what that mirrors for me?
Go on.
That mirrors Swansea and Man United last season.
Yeah.
All over again. It's deja vu. It's like Groundhog Day. Hello, Bill Murray. How are you doing?
Do you know what?
Every Yeah, man.
Do you know what, BT? Do you know what winds me up as well is when people say, be careful what you wish for. Now, I digged up a stat earlier on. Last year, Chelsea were like 13th and had 20-odd points or whatever it is. Roll on one season, a change of manager, because let's be fair, Chelsea absolutely loved Mourinho. The same way Arsenal fans probably love Wenger, but they saw that he weren't quite delivering. So they changed the manager. They only signed one player in Kante. And with a new manager, with a fresh ideas, he's managed to get the best out of Hazard. He's getting the best out of Diego Costa. So all these fans that say, be careful what you wish for, bringing in Conte shows what a change of manager can do.
Yeah, I don't wish to feel like I have my heart ripped out every year. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's getting ridiculous. And you know what? There's something that I really, really want to touch on here.
Go on, mate.
Now, I don't know whether you know about this, but since you've been on air, Gary Neville's been talking about ArsenalFanTV.
Has he?
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Gary Neville, the same guy who said, "Where's Bellerin?" on the second goal, yeah?
Yeah.
Come
on, guys. I mean, you can't really take seriously this guy.
A comment about ArsenalFanTV.
What's he saying? What's he saying, BT?
He's saying about how they're embarrassing because of what the fans, because he said he come out of Stamford Bridge yesterday and he see people crowding around, and he thought it was funny that Chelsea fans were taking the piss out of Arsenal fans, and he felt that the Arsenal fans are embarrassed. I'll tell you what's embarrassing, Gary Neville. Right? Embarrassing was thinking that you can go from a Sky Sports studio to management where you embarrass yourself. Fans, what they think of you, Gary Neville. Maybe if you listened to the fans, you wouldn't have been out of a job in the first place, because the Valencia fans were crying out for you to listen to them. We've all seen the pictures of them hounding you on the coach. You was there like a scared little boy. There and criticise real fans. Hard-working, genuine, paying fans. It's all right for you to sit there on Sky Sports in your comfy little studio next to the hubcap stealer, Jamie Carragher, right? It's all right for you to sit there and criticise everyone. Criticise Arsene Wenger. The moment a fan does it, you get on your high horse and you try criticising them.
That's right.
It's all right for you to sit there and slag off Liverpool's goalkeeper, but the moment a fan criticises Arsene Wenger about the state of their club, remember that, their club, not yours, Gary Neville. Yours is Man United, so fuck off and talk about Man United. Don't sit there and criticise Arsenal fans and ArsenalFanTV because people voice an opinion, right? The thing is, the problem with the media is, and I've noticed it recently, I've noticed John Cross, little Smithers, right, moaning about ArsenalFanTV lately and stuff like that. I'll tell you what the problem with the media is right now, Mitch, yeah?
Go on, mate.
For so long, the media have had it their own way. They've been the voice. What they say goes. They're the big people. They're the ones that get to talk constant. Nobody's above them. You lot down there are little people. You can't ever, what we say goes. Now, because of ArsenalFanTV and because of other social media platforms, fans are starting to have a voice.
Absolutely.
And like-minded fans are starting to listen to real fans.
Well, do you know what?
People are now starting to say, do you know what? I don't want to listen to Gary Neville talk about Arsenal. I don't want to listen to Jamie Carragher talk about league titles when he's never fucking won any. I want to listen to real fans that go week in, week out, that pay their hard-earned money, that they love.
It's a great point.
So don't come on here and start criticising Arsenal fans. If the fans were slagging off Arsene Wenger in a sense that they were disrespecting him, making death threats or anything like that, which we've heard in the past, fine. Totally unacceptable. I don't condone that whatsoever.
Good.
But a fan going onto their own club's fan channel, voicing their opinion and saying they've had enough. Whether you're Troops, whether you're me, whether you're Lee, Kenny, Claude, or anyone that isn't well known. Yeah, you've got a right to have a voice.
Absolutely.
And like I said, the media hate the fact that real fans now have a voice.
Brilliant
because
point.
They're not the big boys no more.
DT, it's a brilliant point, mate. And I'm going to come to Demetrius now to get a reply to your call. DT, I'm going to move on to other calls. You've been an absolutely brilliant caller, mate. And thank you very much for your time, mate.
See you guys later on.
Much appreciated.
Bye-bye.
Absolute legend he is. And he makes a bloody good point because, Demetrius, I'm going to bring to you now as well. Arsenal Fans TV does get a hell of a lot of stick. People like DT, people like Claude, people like Ty, people like Chris. I've met them all. They're all lovely, lovely people, and they're entitled to their opinions. But yet they do get so much grief. And I can understand what he's saying as well. You're getting lots of John Cross coming on, Gary Neville now having digs, and he's right. Because at the end of the day, as a fan, I would rather listen to people that I can associate myself with, people who've got a connection to the club, rather than listening to the likes of Gary Neville, who are supposedly experts. They might be experts because they played the game, but in terms of loving the club and having an opinion about the club, you can't beat a fan's opinion, can you?
Well, I agree 100%, and I was going to say the same thing exactly as CT, but he was first to say it. That's the thing right now. The club is actually having a way of revolution, as Robbie mentioned. It's really good that actually the fans right now have a voice and they can say their concerns because they genuinely love the club. And one of those people is actually Claude. And even though I don't know him, I have to say every time I'm watching his videos when he's talking on ArsenalFanTV, it's just, gutting because I genuinely feel sad watching him talk because the guy is really, really passionate and he really loves this fucking club. And I praise him for that because you can see it that he's aching pretty hard every time that he's talking. And there's this joke that goes down in the comments that Claude is a 17-year-old guy who actually got aged because of Arsenal's really, really sad progress. And yeah. And it's quite ironic, but it's the truth, man. Like you can see it. And but the thing is, right now we're living at a point of time where people are actually voicing their concerns, and the so-called experts like John Cross or Gary Neville, they feel threatened. Do you know why? Because they feel that now the fans, are actually having influence towards things they shouldn't be having. At least the way they see it.
Well said.
And this is something that really scares them off. I mean, for example, Mems, let's say you have a really high rank on a job, and then you got this newcomer who comes inside this job, and he actually starts to shake your opinions that have been working for so long. Would you feel scared and threatened and say, who the fuck is this guy to actually come and question my judgment? And this is exactly what is happening right now. Arsenal is having this movement because even the AKBs start to realize that right now it's not working anymore. And it's not about who you support anymore. It's not if you're Wenger in or if you're Wenger out. You just have to realize that we've reached the point that it's not working anymore. It's not really working anymore. And
that's the point that's clear to everybody. It's like you just said, it's not working anymore. There's something desperately needs to change, whether that's a change of approach or a change of tactics. Something desperately needs to change within this club. I don't know what that is, but something definitely does, mate.
Exactly. And the thing is, I'll say something that I've noticed. The first time when Chelsea came at the Emirates and we battered them and win 3-0, okay, Conte sat down and he said to himself, okay, what the fuck did I just see? They genuinely destroyed us in this game. So he sat down, he came out with an amazing formula that worked out, and this formula eventually is going to win them the league because I don't think that Chelsea is going to lose it, okay? And they came back and they completely obliterated us. And that's the thing. He adapted his game. He created a formula and he started winning. He saw that it's working and he came back and he won the game. And do you know what's the thing? We actually went and played with the same tactic and system that we played in the first game, except some changes because back then we had Cazorla, now we didn't have him. But the thing is, we played again with the same system. And he knew the system. He knew exactly how to counterattack that system. And it actually worked because if you see the game again, you can actually see that when they were pressing, our defense was non-existent. Their presence in our defense was like all over the place. They were everywhere. And every time we're trying to press back, we're having so many issues. We couldn't like give a proper pass and get into their field and actually have a proper chance of scoring a goal. And that's the thing, that one coach adapted and the other one is still stuck on the same principles for 10 fucking years. He's not willing to adapt. And that's the problem. I mean, I understand if he cannot be as passionate as young coaches, I understand. He's 67 years old. I mean, the guy might actually have a heart attack on the field. He's running up and down and screaming and jumping and, you know, screaming his lungs out. And I don't want that for him, okay? But I understand that he might not be able to run up and down and scream. But the thing is, what I do expect from him is, first of all, I expect will, and I accept, and I want a coach that can adapt and a coach that has experience, because he's been on this league for way, way too long. And I wanted to actually be able to adapt, but he doesn't. I agree. And this is where the problem is being created. Like, I
don't think he's able to adapt, Demetrius, to be honest with you, mate. Honestly, I don't think he is. I think he's still stuck in his ways. He's one of these guys that came Arsene Wenger. The memories I've got of Arsene Wenger when he first arrived, you know, no one could take that away from me. And yes, we all want change. But I think, like what you said and what DT said, some of the abuse that which has been coming his way is unacceptable. And what we've got to realise, he is in his 60s. He's not able to change. Now, he's got his philosophies, he's got his beliefs, and he thinks that we can win it this way. But unfortunately, it's not going to happen. I'm going to bring in our next caller, Demetrius, okay? Because his gentleman's waiting. I'm going to come back to you again. Thank you very much. Lee, I'm going to come back to you as well after the next caller, and I'll come back to you, Kenny, after the caller after that. But our next caller is Mr. Fam, Mr. Blood. How you doing, troops? I'm all right, mate. How are you? Okay?
Fucking hell, man.
Is that bad? You're still hurting. You're still hurting.
Of course, man. I don't even know why the fuck I'm hurting as well, because it's expected. You understand? That's the first time we've even fucking scored a goal there since like 2013, man. It's fucking ridiculous, like.
What's the problem, though, troops? So what do you think the problem is? I mean, I heard Theo Walcott, and I mentioned this earlier on, saying that the players were shocked. They couldn't deal with the tactics. It seems like, for us, we couldn't get our passing game going. Alexis Sanchez was pretty isolated up front. You know, Coquelin was poor. Koscielny was poor. What else? What went wrong for us, though?
Everything went wrong. From the lineup, from I saw that Gibbs wasn't starting, from I saw Welbeck wasn't starting. I had worries, fam. Like, I understand this man. Like, seriously, I do not understand what the fuck he's doing. Like, I don't get it. Like, I try and sit there and I try and think like an AKB. I try to get into their mind. I try to see how they see the thing, and I don't get it. Like, I just don't fucking get it. It's the same thing every fucking year. Every year it's the same thing. Every year, every big game, every majority of the team go missing. It's not even just Ozil. Majority of the team go missing in big games. They just bottle it. But that mentality comes from the manager. He is up for it no more. He can't motivate them. How can you not? The players should be motivated themselves for this kind of game. It's your last chance. If you fuck this, it's done. I said it was done from Man City, but for it to properly be officially dead, like nail in the coffin. And they weren't up for it from the get-go. The first few, until the only time we were good is until Chelsea scored. From they scored, it flipped, that was it. Their heads went straight down. They went straight down. And you could see it wasn't working. And even when, because I said in my interview after on ArsenalFanTV, when Gabriel came on, why didn't you put him in the middle?
Yeah, I think that was Claude mentioned the same thing on his call, mate. He said, because obviously Mustafi plays right back for Germany, doesn't he?
Right back. So why the fuck are you going to put Bambi against Hazard? Like, are you serious, Wenger? Like, are you fucking like, you're in the stands here, so you've even got a better view than you normally have when you're on a touchline. And you're still fucking it up. You're still doing the same thing. You have no plan B. It's just plan A. There's no plan B. No plan B. Bench. Put on Welbeck. The
difference Welbeck made when he came on, it was visible. I mean, within 10 minutes, I think I tweeted that Welbeck's been our best player. I mean, anyway, he done very well in the cup. Obviously fit. I mean, we paid a lot of money for Lucas Perez, you know, and he can't even get on in the squad. Do you think Wenger's scared to drop some players, or do you think he's just? What do you think? Is he waiting for injuries before he brings these players in? What do you think the problem is there?
I think he's too loyal to these players. I said it as well yesterday again. He's the kind of guy. Yeah, he don't have that balls to drop a man. I've been saying it on my previews on my channel for the last maybe 6-7 games. Czech is fucking finished. The guy cannot get down to the floor quick enough. If it's below the knee, he ain't getting it. He's not saving it. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. The Watford goal, he should have saved it. It was right next to him. I was right behind the fucking goal. He should have saved it. Bournemouth, their third goal, Fraser, at his near post. The goal fucking yesterday. Look at the mistakes you're making. I said it even on the preview with DT and Rob that he's going to make a fucking hand roll error and they're going to get a goal. So look at that. That was ridiculous, man. So that's ridiculous. How the fuck can people call this guy world class?
Moving forward, though, troops. I mean, say we got Bayern Munich in a couple of weeks' time in the Champions League. Would you play David Ospina?
I put Ospina from Hull. I said put Ospina in from fucking way back because because last season Ospina was suspect, but I've realised now the reason why he was suspect because he wasn't playing. He needs game time. This season he's been actually decent because he's actually played more games this year. And every time he's played, he's done his thing. The PSG game when we played him away, I was one of the main guys that said Czech should have started that game. But if we be real, if it weren't for Ospina, we wouldn't have got a point in that game. For the whole fucking game.
What about Francis Coquelin and Koscielny? How do you think they played?
Coquelin, yeah, I love Coquelin, but I don't know what is going on with him as well. It's like since he's come back, it's like him and Mustafi. Since they've come back from injury, they're not the same players. They're not the same. Before Mustafi was injured, he was probably one of the best centre backs in the league. For me, the guy is shocking right now, and Koscielny as well. People are telling me Koscielny is the best centre back in the league. Are you fucking mad? Koscielny's not the best centre back in the league. Yeah, the way Hazard ripped him quickly, it was like one step over, a little drop on the right, and he was in. As soon as Hazard got past Coquelin, yeah, I was shitting myself. I was saying it's a goal, it's a goal, it's a goal, because I could see it. The way Koscielny's running back off him. What are you doing?
Troops, I'm going to ask you now. How are we going to move forward now? What's Wenger got to do when our season's around? What's he got to do? Is he going to rip the team apart, start changing the formation, giving players like Ospina, Gibbs an opportunity, Welbeck? What's he got to do?
Well, at the end of the season, he's got to walk, but for now, he's got to put in Welbeck, he's got to put in Ospina, he's got to put in Gibbs, he's got to change it up, he's got to drop these players. You got to drop these players, bro. Fuck it. Drop Ozil and put Iwobi in the middle, bro. Because you're not bringing that onto the table. Yeah, you've got world class ability. I don't doubt that, but you're not showing it right now. You're not doing nothing. You're just a passenger. I see some footage yesterday as well about Mesut Ozil shouting at Alexis Sanchez because he's not applauding the away support. Sanchez applauded us and then he walked off. That's probably the first time that Ozil's actually applauded the fans, away fans. So let's not even get into that one. I'm done with it, man. I swear to God, man. I'm done with it, fam. I'm done with it. Just get Kroenke out, get Wenger out, get all of them out. Troops,
I appreciate your call. Thank you very much for your time this evening, bro.
Yo, my bro.
All right, all the best, brother. Thanks. That's Troops Lee. You know him as well. He's very passionate. He's talking about Ozil. I know you are not a big Mesut Ozil fan. But is it right to single out him for criticism because he costs so much?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I am a fan of Ozil. Let's not get this twisted, man. I do rate Mesut Ozil, yeah, right. And I do go to town on the geezer because for £42 million, dubbed the best number 10 in the world, the best playmaker in the world. Well, did he stay at Madrid then? Because he ain't turned up at Arsenal since we've signed him. Yeah, it's all well and good doing a fancy flick here and scoring a great goal against Ludogorets, but. Mate, when we need this geezer, right, and when it really matters, the guy goes hiding. He was hiding yesterday. John Cross, right? I know we spoke about him earlier, right? John Cross is the biggest Arsene Wenger lover on the planet. Yeah, and he would never mug Arsene Wenger off. He tweeted a tweet out. I can't remember word for word what it was, but he tweeted yesterday about Mesut Ozil, saying it was one of the most embarrassing performances, or something along them lines. One of the most embarrassing performances he's ever seen from Mesut Ozil. Yeah. Well, for him to come out and say that, he must have been bad yesterday. And I've had people tweeting me all day today, telling me, "Oh, Ozil was your best player yesterday." Yeah, Man City fans tweeting me. Ozil was what? What game are these people watching? Yeah, the whole team was shocking, bar Oxlade-Chamberlain, who I thought was all right yesterday. Nothing spectacular, but he put a shift in. And the only other player that done any good was Welbeck when he come on. Yeah, I mean, did you see Giroud fall over well, I think it was Hazard on the wing.
Yeah,
he just dropped his shoulder and Giroud's falling over like it's embarrassing, man. And the reason I single out, coming back to Ozil, the reason I singled that geezer out, right, is when we signed him, he's apparently the best player in that position in the world, right? I think on his debut he set up a goal against, I think it was Sunderland or Southampton, one of the two for Giroud. Yeah, great pass, fantastic. And for a couple of games in his first season at the beginning, he was good, and then he got injured. Right? In my opinion, this league is not suited to Mesut Ozil. It's too physical, and he can't hack it. Right? There's way too many games where he just disappears. And for some, in my opinion, if you pay that sort of wedge for a player, yeah, you're buying him to make a difference in the big away games against teams in and around you at the top of the table. Yeah. I've said this on here before, right? I can't name 3 games where he's played against the top 4 team, where away from home, yeah, and you can shout Man United away when we lost to the kids there last season, yeah, and he scored. I ain't counting that. We lost that game. Yeah, I can't think of 3 games where he has totally run the game and left us breathtaken. Like, wow, we have. So what do we do? Ozil.
What do we do? Do we sell him? Do we sell him?
I'd sell him all day long, mate. You know, at the end of the day, if we're believing all the rumours that are flying around, him and Alexis Sanchez are stalling over new deals. Yeah, and people can say, oh, yeah, it's because they don't know if Wenger's staying. Well, does everyone think Wenger ain't told them then? Of course, Wenger's had a conversation with these players. They know whether he's going, which probably sums up why we played so crap this year.
I think the best thing
he's gone in the summer.
I think the best thing Arsene Wenger can do, and I want to bring our next caller in. Kenny, I'm going to come to you after our next caller, mate. Sorry, I've got so many callers that want to get on. I'm going to come to you straight after this next caller. But first, we've got Sam coming on. Sam, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, yourself.
Well, we're a bit down, Sam. I mean, we're talking about Ozil, we're talking about Wenger, we're talking about everything. But one thing that I want to raise tonight, Sam, is that all this sort of like mystery around Arsene Wenger about if he's staying, is he going? I personally think if Arsene Wenger's going to stay, he should come out and say it. Mesut Ozil, Alexis Sanchez know exactly what the future's holding, and if he's going to go, then he should turn around and say to everybody, "I'm going at the end of the season," and Arsenal to start planning for the future. What's your take on that, mate?
Yeah, mate, I totally agree, mate. To be honest with you, I think it's dragged on far too long. It's affecting everyone's performance. I think people or players, fans are getting uneasy and restful, and it's causing a massive division even further down the line now. I mean, you know, just got the stats here that I've been looking at throughout the day. I'm just going to base it on a 10-year period. It's not anything before, not anything after. So we've finished on average 14.6 points on average behind the first place finish in the last 10 years.
14 points on average, is that what does that sound?
Be careful what you wish for.
We've lost 51% of games, current top 6, and during that 10-year period, we finished first or second in the league or the Champions League once.
Right.
And that was 15-16. You know my opinion on it, mate. I think he's got to go. I want him to come out and just totally, basically say, yeah, I'm leaving the end of the season. You know, I've done had a good run, blah blah blah, and then we can move forward because it's causing so much shit between the fans. I don't know if you've seen what that idiot Stephen on Sky about ArsenalFanTV is an embarrassment and all this bits and pieces. I mean, we've got to get behind the team. But I honestly think this year this is where we're going to finish outside the top 4.
Do you think, Sam, if Arsene Wenger was to turn around and say, I'm going, next season we brought in a Simeone or someone else, do you think that will unite the fans, or do you think there's still going to be some elements of...
No. I think there'll be a massive divide because they'll jump over to the fence, well, you wanted this, and we'll be like, we've got to give you time, we'll make all the excuses up front. The only time that this is ever going to change is if we stop winning things on a regular, and everyone then is everyone wants the same thing, don't we? We all want to win things. We all want to do well. We all want to succeed. Every Arsenal fan can honestly say that's what's going to happen. And until that happens, I think we're going to be in a split situation. I really do. I mean, there's just no leadership, no accountability and anything. You know, picking 5 games off the top of my head, like losing the cup final to Tottenham, 4-4 against Newcastle, losing 8-2 at United, 6-0 at Chelsea, 6-3 at Man City. That is not a team to compete. A lot like we just never learn. We never learn. We always make some mistakes. Nothing ever changes. You know, today I was watching Leicester and Jose Mourinho changed it within 20 minutes and ended up winning the game 3-0. They started off to like 4-4-2, changed it around and put Mkhitaryan behind the front 1 or 2, and they fucking battered them from that point. Yeah. When was the last time we did anything like that?
I remember the last time Arsene Wenger changed tactics.
It's just so samey, mate. I mean, like I said, like you said, nothing is going to change until he goes. It's a completely divided fan base, and I think it will be for a long time. And just going over the Ozil, Alexis things, well, I bench them. I just wouldn't bother playing them. Get people who want to play for Arsenal. We've had too long with this now. I've just had enough, mate. This week has been one of the worst weeks of football to me for a long time. I think we need to have a massive change, either positively or negatively, in my opinion. Come out, sign the deal, yeah, I'm staying, yeah, I'm not. We need to move forward. And at the minute, we're all living that.
I agree with you, Sam. Sam, you've been a great call, mate. And thank you very much for your stats. I'm going to move on to Kenny. Thank you very much, Sam. Brilliant call.
No, cheers, mate. See you later. Bye.
Shocking stats. What did you hear about it, Ken? Do you hear all those stats? It's unbelievable.
Well, look, hello, what are you going to say?
I was going to say, do you think Arsenal fans are too spoiled?
No, not at all. Not at all, man.
Because did you see what John Cross said? Sorry, Ken. Did you see that John Cross said this year? He says that Arsenal fans have never had it so good, and the board can't understand why we're all upset.
He's talking.
Sorry, Ken. That's because they're not football fans on the board. That's why. Yeah, they're all money men on the board. Yeah. So if that story has got any truth in it whatsoever, which I highly doubt, because he's clueless as a journalist, in my opinion. Yeah, but if that has got any truth in it, it's because they're not football fans. They're not Arsenal fans. Yeah, they're just money men that are interested in making money, and more money. They don't care about us. They're putting the tickets up again. Yeah, 3%. Yeah, really? What have the fans got to do before they actually go, do you know what? I've had enough of this, and let's just like have a proper boycott. Because
what can the fans do? You say,
I'll tell you what they can do, Mems, right? When it comes to renewing season tickets, don't renew them. And if 60,000 or 40,000 season tickets get sold to another load of people, yeah, great. But they'll soon get fed up and just don't go. Yeah, don't go in the shop. Mate, there was a guy who held a banner up yesterday at the game, yeah, and everyone's gone hoo-ha about it. Gary Neville's gone nuts about it. I was more worried about the geezer standing taking a photo next to him with a half and half scarf on. He's in the away end. Yeah, he's in the away end. Yeah, with the Arsenal fans with a half and half scarf on. Yeah, what is that all about? Yeah, and we're more focused on the banner. Come on, man. Like that's the fan that Kroenke wants. That's the fan that Wenger wants. Yeah, let's go and buy something from the shop. Let's go and buy 13 quid's worth of fish and chips. Let's go and buy a £5 bottle of beer at half time. Yeah, they don't want people like us in there that are going to sing and shout and scream and jump up and down and get behind the team. They just want everyone to sit there and clap and applaud like it's a theatre. Yeah, and until people wake up and realise that and stop spending money on them, yeah, it's never going to change. We can change the manager.
So what you're saying is, if we want to see change, don't go to games, don't buy kit, boycott. What type of fans are we, for fuck's sake? Kenny, I want to come back to you, mate.
I think touching on the points, first and foremost, right? Touching on points that Sam made about Arsene Wenger. Lee's 100% right. We've got an Arsenal PLC, which is basically about money, and we've got Arsenal Football Club, which is run by Arsene Wenger. Now, as far as the Arsenal PLC are concerned, right, Champions League qualification is the alpha and the omega. No doubt about that. So over 20 years, Arsene Wenger has given the alpha and the omega. So basically, if if Arsene Wenger fails this year, they're going to look at it and say, well, you know what? It's not really fair to get rid of Arsene because he's given us what we want. And financially, we're actually quite secure to the extent we could do with that one season without the Champions League. So in their walks minds, logical minds, remember, they're not football people, they're money people. They can actually afford to keep Arsene Wenger on and give a new contract. So the onus is not on them sacking Arsene Wenger. It's down to Arsene Wenger admitting that he's taken the club as far as he can go and admitting that he is no longer the right man to make us bring glory to the League A, win the league and the Champions League. That's what it's down to. It's Arsene Wenger to make that decision. Now, you and I can have all that opinion, but it's if Arsene Wenger doesn't admit, I'm not saying that accept, admit that he's no longer one of the top managers, admit that he's got the best squad he's had for the last 10 years, and admit I can't get the best out of them, then we're going to have the situation where he's going to sign a 2-year contract, selfishly, in my opinion, and then we're going to have the same malaise because we can sign as many good players as we like, but it's not going to change. I was talking to a mate of mine yesterday, he's a Chelsea fan, and he was reading an article, and he went, if we lose Alexis Sanchez, why don't we spend, then Arsenal spend £50 million and get in Royce. And he was saying, well, hang on here, you're a big club. Why can't you have Royce as well as Alexis Sanchez? And that's the mentality at Arsenal Football Club. As for Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil, if you're not going to sign contracts, call your agents and get lost. I'm not having it no more, okay? I want players who are committed. I don't care whether you're world class or not. You're not committed, we're not. Because I'll tell you one thing now, we've got 14 games left in this season. Plus, we've got the FA Cup and Champions League. It's all about consolidation, about one game at a time and not letting our season go into free-for-all, which means we need committed players for it. And it means, and if Arsene Wenger's got to make the changes and get players who are on form, i.e. like Perez, get Welbeck in the side, get Gibbs in the side, even replace Petr Cech, who I'm a massive favourite, fine. As long as we're getting performances now, because it's one game at a time, it's starting at whole. No more, forget about Chelsea, it hurts. We've got to console ourselves. We're not going to win the league, but we don't want our season to go free-for-all. And that means players like Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil are going to have to put their hand up, start putting some great performances. Because I'll tell you one thing, right? We've got some other harder games now. We've got Liverpool away at Anfield, Stoke at the Bear Pit, and we've got Spurs, the last North London derby. So so in order to prevent further humiliation, which could happen, let's start getting back to bases, like taking one game at a time and get players who are committed. If it's too much for Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil, off you go, pack your bags, get to Heathrow Airport. Alexis, you can go to Juventus because I'm sure you're going to be happy there. Ozil, I'm sure PSG, go with your mate Glatzer. Get lost. I've had enough now. Arsenal Football Club has to come first. Not your favourite player, not your favourite manager, the football club, because that's what you support. Arsenal Football Club. Not Mesut Ozil, not Sanchez, and not Arsene Wenger. Put the club first. If you can't do that, then sod off and get lost.
Do you know what, Kenny? I wish, mate, we can get you in the changing room before the fucking game, mate. Excuse my language. I promised Robbie I wouldn't swear, but I did. Listen, that was brilliant. And I agree with you 100%. It doesn't matter who your favourite player is. It doesn't matter if you manage it. Your football club comes first, and you are 100% right, mate. So I'll take my hat off to that little speech there, mate. Thank you very much, Kenny. Lads, I want to remind everyone that's watching live, if you want to tweet the panel, if you want to tweet me, if you want to comment on any of the callers, what they've said, use your hashtag AFTVextra. The lads are going to be checking their iPads. They're going to be picking off some tweets. But before they do so, I've got a gentleman who's on hold. Henry, how you doing, sir?
How you doing? You all right?
I'm very well, mate. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting so long. I'm going to rattle out these calls as I can. I've got so many people on hold, but I'll come to you because I know you're in a sunny part of the world. Whereabouts are you calling from?
Middle East.
Bahrain, the Middle East. Thanks very much, mate. I know it's probably late at night there, so I appreciate you hanging on. Oh, I tweeted you earlier on, and you tweeted me back, and you said to me something along the lines of Arsenal fans will start getting a little bit nasty now. What did you mean by that?
Damn right, because at the moment it's drastic times, and drastic times call for drastic measures. End of the day, protests don't get you anywhere, so we need to make these people uncomfortable. And because if we just protest and things, nothing's going to happen. So we need to let everything out, get everything known, and get this guy out the club by any means necessary. Because the too long now, and it's not about giving him another year or even another 6 months. He needs to go now, as soon as possible.
What do you suggest the fans do? Because I raised this question with Lee, and he's saying boycott games, boycott merchandise, and don't go.
That's actually good, because at the end of the day, that's all they care about. You know, if we were to do something else, they probably wouldn't care. You know, holding up a banner or two doesn't do anything, which is why they let people do it. But if you take away their money from them, because money is what they're after. So yeah, don't go to games, don't buy merchandise, and make it very uncomfortable for them, and keep doing shows like this. That's why, you know, people like Gary Neville having to talk about it, because it's a threat. Are taking notice of it. So this is what we can do. Just keep ramping up the pressure.
Do you really think, though, Henry? Like, I mean, do you think that if the fans made such a difference, stopped going games, stopped buying merchandise, held up banners, came on shows like this, do you really think the board or Arsene Wenger would care?
They'd have to care, because at the end of the day, it's Arsenal Football Club, it's Arsenal PLC as well. And if we take away their main revenue streams, they're going to start to care. Do you know what I mean? That 3 million each home game is going to go down to maybe 2.5 or 2 million, and they're trying to turn over money and make revenue and stuff. So it's going to affect them. They're going to have to listen to us. Okay.
I think what should happen from this point on now, moving towards the end of the season? What do you want to happen?
Similar to what the guy said earlier, actually, the poor performing players need to come out. Similar to when Ospina first came to us and Szczesny was number one, the same thing has happened again. Second half of the season, Ospina has to come in. Cech needs to have a seat on his headgear and just watch the game from the side.
Okay.
And Gibbs needs to come in for Monreal, for example. Giroud needs to sit down as well. But again, you know, these are all short-term things. We need to do the long-term thing, which is change the manager. It's as simple as that.
And Henry, who would you bring in?
Could do a better job. Anyone could do a better job.
You sound like my friend Mo when he said I could do a better job than you, Gazidis. But in all honesty, mate, if you had to bring in a manager in the summer, who would you bring in?
Diego Simeone, easy. Eddie Howe, easy. Ronald Koeman, easy.
See, the thing with Simeone is that people say that he plays a different style to what we're used to at Arsenal. You know, Arsenal over the years, we play attractive, sexy football, and this is why we managed to sell out the stadium week in, week out, because people want to see us come and play nice football. Would you be prepared with the change of style and the sort of like the defensive style of Simeone?
Were we playing attractive football yesterday?
No. We haven't played attractive football for a long time.
Against Watford?
We haven't played attractive football, in my opinion, for a long, long time, mate.
Thank you. So where does this come from, number one? And then to go to your point, you know, people need to get... this is the problem with the Arsenal fan base. People need to decide right here, right now, who do you support? Arsenal Football Club or Arsene Wenger? Arsenal Football Club or Mesut Ozil? Arsenal Football Club or Alexis Sanchez? Because I know who I support. I support the club. The club comes first. All these other people are interchangeable and can come and go. George Graham was at Arsenal and then Wenger came in. And then Wenger changed it up. And before all of that time, Arsenal known as 1-0 to the Arsenal. So it's not a big deal if someone like Simeone or another manager comes in and plays a different style of football. Is Antonio Conte playing the same style as Mourinho? But I'm telling you, the result's going to be the same come May. They're going to win the league again. It's the end result, which is what matters. Do you know what I mean? And all these smaller things, they're kind of irrelevant. I'm tired of stupid Arsenal fans coming up with these stupid stats of Mustafi being unbeaten and being the best team in the calendar year. The only fucking thing that matters is who wins the league at the end of the year. That's it.
Brilliant.
Simple as. When you talk about 03 and 04, no one remembers the team that finishes second or third. They just remember Arsenal went unbeaten. End of. I'm sick and tired of all these useless statistics coming out.
And you know what really upsets me as well, Henry, is all the excuses that we make. I mean, Arsene Wenger, bless him, he's been so good for us, the early part of his career. But towards the end, I mean, all the excuses come out, and it's everything from the board. I see a very big account on Twitter blaming Stan Kroenke.
And this is something else as well. You know, a lot. The guy said yes. At the end of the day, he's been given money to invest now. So where's the excuses?
He spent £90 million this summer.
I mean,
people are saying the board and people are blaming everything, but the resources have been there. The board have backed him, haven't they? So surely, when you talk about everything that could possibly go wrong, he's had the money. He's got a very good squad at the club at the moment. Tactically, he's not getting it right. The players are not motivated. So surely the buck, sooner or later, has to end with Arsene Wenger.
Because about a year or two ago, the debate was, is it the board, is it the manager? Well, now the board has put their money where their mouth is. You know it's the manager. And if someone like Ranieri, Pochettino can do much better than Wenger with half the money, then again, the buck stops with him. And you know, this, for me, there's not even a Wenger at debate. It's beyond that now. It's nonsense. He's clearly at fault. Change him, things will improve straight away.
I hope so, mate.
It's just so frustrating. It's very, very frustrating.
Go on, mate.
What was I going to say? No, I've forgotten now.
All right, mate. Listen, brother, you've been an absolutely brilliant caller again. Every time you come on this show, you really, really do. And you touched on the same point as what Kenny did. Doesn't matter who your favourite player is. Doesn't matter who the manager is. That badge is all that matters. And I think some fans have gotten a little bit sort of confused with that scenario. So I'm really grateful that you've raised it. And thank you very much, Henry, for coming on again. Been brilliant caller, mate. Cheers, mate. Demetrius, we'll bring you on. It's a great call again, isn't it, mate? I mean,
yeah, it was fantastic.
He makes some points. He makes some fantastic points. I mean, he's talking about, like, you know, another manager comes in. Do you think it's just a case of, and because we saw what happened at Man United, didn't we? We saw when Ferguson left, they went for Moyes and then they went for Van Gaal, and you know, it's a big risk, isn't it? That changing the manager, we might have to see a little bit of a down spell to see a couple of good years. Do you think it's a risk worth taking, or are we just being stupid? Have we got something that what other clubs want? Because I'm pretty sure that there's clubs in the Premier League who would love to be in our position. So are we being a little bit too greedy?
No, and the reason I believe this is not the case is because, as I've explained before, we have reached a point that simply the regime is not working anymore. Like right now, Wenger is out of ideas. He cannot adapt. He can't do the job anymore. So this is the natural thing to every individual. When you reach a point as a person and you see that something in your life is not working anymore, you just look at yourself and you wonder, what can I do? And the first thing that pops in your mind is fucking change. This is the natural progression when things don't work anymore. And this is the problem. That's
if you're a rational person and if you don't have a big ego. If you do have a big ego,
exactly. I wanted to say.
And the problem is other people. So I get what you're coming from.
Yeah. So the thing is, right now, we need to change. We need to have a change, because I genuinely wish that Wenger could actually move us forward as a manager, but he can't do it anymore. So we have to take a risk, and people need to accept this. And I see that slowly some people that actually support Wenger start to question if he can do the job anymore. And I think it's a risk worth taking, definitely. And I would definitely bring a new manager, because at the end of the day, all we can do is keep trying until we find that one thing that works. It might take 3 new managers, it might take 5, it might take 1, you don't know. But you genuinely need to take the risk, because this is what life is all about. Life is all about taking risks, and we need to take that risk.
Sorry, mate. So you'll be prepared to take that risk. Say, for example, I turn around and said to you, we can get a new manager. That might be Simeone, and it might take 2 or 3 years of non-Champions League football. We might drop out of the top 4 for 2-3 years. But then after 2-3 years, then we really start seeing what we really want to see right now. You would take that risk?
Yeah, because I mean, you just have to accept what you want. As mentioned before, what's the problem right now is the direction of the club. You need to understand what the fuck you want to do with this club, okay? So if you want to start winning silverware again and come back to having success, you have to find that specific person who can do it. It doesn't matter if it's in 1, 2, or 3, or 5 years. If it's 1, perfect. If it's 5, then you just wait until it comes, because the other choice is this: you just stick with Wenger, and every year you fight for top 4. You qualify to the top 16, and then you get disqualified, and then you have this one chance of winning the FA Cup. Is this what you want? Because personally, this is not what I want.
That's not what I want either, mate. It's what they say, isn't it? Be careful what you wish for. I mean, but Lee, is there anything on Twitter, mate? Anything that you picked up?
Oh, sorry, can I just say something that Demetrius just said about top 4, right? The only people that benefit out of getting top 4, i.e. second, third, fourth, first we never get anyway, but the only people that make benefit out of that are the club and Arsene Wenger, because Arsene Wenger hits his target and then the club make money. They don't want to go and win the Champions League, because if they did, they'd invest properly into the team to do what's required to then go and win it. Yeah,
exactly.
You know, I couldn't care less if we finished 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th or 10th. I would personally do what Chelsea have done: 1st, 10th, and look like we're going to win it again. Yeah. I put a poll up on Twitter the other week saying, what would you rather, top 4 3 seasons in a row, or 1st, 10th, 1st? 74% of the 1,000 people that voted on that, said top 4 3 seasons in a row. That is where our problem is.
That's the mentality that's wrong, isn't it, at this club?
Yeah, and that, Mems, is because there's a lot of fans that have only ever witnessed Arsene Wenger as a manager, right? So I get their loyalty to him. I understand that, because if you've grown up supporting a football club because of that man, granted, they're going to back that man, right? Now, you know, what I see as a massive issue with that is no matter what he does, whether he wins or whether he doesn't win, and if he keeps not winning like he's not, and keeps coming out with the same bullshit season after season, we weren't mentally prepared. Well, hang on, that's your job to get mentally prepared. Yeah, was what he said the other night. Yeah, and when he keeps coming out with stuff like that, and you've still got the people that back him because they've only known him as a manager at their club the whole time they've been alive. Yeah, you know, what can you do? We're sitting here saying, like, we want him out, we want him gone because of X, Y, and Z, and they're going, yeah, but look at what he done for the club. Yeah, nearly 15 years ago. I'm
going to come at you. I'm going to come at you, mate, because I'm the host of the show, and I need to, because I need to bring some balance to it.
No, sorry.
You know, there is some people out there who call in Colin after this as well, Colin. I want your opinion on this as well. There is some people out there who love Arsene Wenger for what he did. It's not the fact that under him, it's that they appreciate what he gave us. That Invincibles.
This is 15 years ago, mate. You can't. How long do we persist with a guy because he done something 15 years ago? Come on, man.
Yeah. So should we totally forget about all the good times that he gave us? Or
no, of course you don't. But listen, the last time we won the league was 13 seasons ago, and we went unbeaten. That is one of the best achievements ever in the English game. Yeah, in fact, any game, any country, to go a full season unbeaten, that is unbelievable. Yeah, let's not knock him for that. It was a great achievement. But this is 13 years on. Yeah, we're in 2017, mate, and we are further away now than we were in 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008. 2008, I think we finished 4 points behind the leaders. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? How long do you persist with a manager? And because of stuff he done in 2004, he's had his leeway. He's had his time since 2004 to get it right again, and he hasn't. Yeah. So, how long do you persist until you say enough's enough?
But can I say a thing on that?
Go on, Demetrius.
The thing is, Lee, even though I agree 100% with you, the problem is right now that the problem is not just the manager. The problem right now with the club is a bigger issue. Like right now, if you check it from a different perspective, nothing is working. Because as you explained before, there are these people that are actually content with finishing top 4. And do you know what this results to? To actually giving more and more power to the board. Because this is exactly why the board is keeping Wenger. Because they know that Wenger probably won't win the league, but they don't give a fuck. Because at the end of the day, they're just going to finish at the top 4. And they're going to qualify for the Champions League again. And they're going to get the financial needs they need. Because look at Kroenke, man. He's just everywhere. He's just investing at things that can actually bring him profits. He doesn't give a shit about the club. I mean, he comes at the club to watch a game like once every God knows when. He doesn't give a fuck.
I think Stan Kroenke, when he looks at the newspapers, first thing he does, he doesn't look at the Arsenal results. He looks at the financial... He doesn't care if Arsenal lose 10-0, providing he's making a profit.
Can I just say something?
Go on, Kenny.
Touching on Demetrius' point. one of the things is, right, is that it's easy to blame the board. But let's look at Wenger forensically. You talked about, 2004. Well, what you haven't thought about is that he broke that team pretty quickly. He broke that team up virtually as soon as we went all that season unbeaten. In 2000, everyone talks about the Invincibles, but in that season, he should have won the Champions League and the FA Cup. He should have done the treble.
Yeah,
he
should have done it. With that team that he had, Kenny, he should have done a back-to-back title.
There were tactical flaws in what he was doing. In the FA Cup semi-final against Man United that season, I was at semi-final where Sir Alex Ferguson in 1999 played his best team because he wanted to win the lot. Arsene Wenger went and played virtually a reserve side against Man United because he wanted to save for Chelsea. And guess what? We lost against Chelsea. Now, that was that. You look at that, you're thinking, hang on here, there's something not right here. And then you look at other situations over the years, and you talk about the board, which is very commendable. You should talk about the board, but what has been transpiring, and what we really know, is that Arsene Wenger is the alpha and the omega on the footballing side. So, which means he has to be accountable for everything that's gone wrong since we won the title, and that means in terms of like Birmingham losing against Birmingham when we were in 2011. He has to be accountable for that. 2007, we played the League Cup final against Chelsea, the best team, one of the best teams in the Premiership. They played a full side. Arsene Wenger plays a reserve side against
that was Theo Walcott's first goal, wasn't it?
Against
first
Chelsea.
Goal for the club.
I was there,
guys.
I was astonished.
There's no doubt that Arsene Wenger has made a number of mistakes over the years, but he's also brought us some good. And I think it's important that we acknowledge the good, because when we talk about people as individuals, we can either think about the good that they've done or think about the bad that they've done. And sometimes we only focus on the bad things. We've got to think of the good things that Arsene Wenger's done as well. This is why
sorry to cut in, but what you've got to realise, right, is if Arsene Wenger was doing a great job, right, we wouldn't be complaining, right, if we were still in touch with our rivals. If we in terms of having instead of shadow boxing the Champions League, if we got to the odd semi-final regularly, if we were like Chelsea, we had Chelsea's record in the Champions League, maybe not winning it, but being in contention with it, I don't think people complain. If we were part of a title challenge in the last 13 years and we probably won 2 or 3 titles, we wouldn't complain. We were Lord Wenger. But the bottom line is that since 2009, we've never qualified for the semi-final. We've only had 1 quarter-final in the Champions League. He's never done anything in Europe. He's never challenged in that competition. Since the Premier League started, since 2004, we have never challenged for the title. We should have won it in 2008, but by March, by Easter Monday, we were out of it. Even though we finished 4 points, as Lee mentioned that, we were out of it. And that is where the problem starts. It's not a case of not beating our rivals, at least be in touch with them. And we're not. And that's where the problems start. And sadly, that's how Arsene Wenger is going to be remembered for me.
Sorry.
And can I speak from a personal perspective? I respect what you're saying, but
I agree as well. I agree. Lads, if I can ask you to go to Twitter, I'm going to get in Colin, who's been waiting very patiently. So please check Twitter, because I'm sure there's loads of tweets coming in. So please pick them out. Colin, how are you, sir? Sorry to have kept you waiting. But there's a number of people who's very passionate at the moment. Everyone's very upset about the result yesterday, following on from the Watford game. People are picking out individuals, Ozil, Koscielny. People are blaming Czech. People are blaming the board. People blaming Wenger. Where do you stand, mate?
I'm not all but dead. Like, I've known since November that we weren't going to win the title. And the reason why I think that is because against Man United, which we drew 1-1, and it was a horrific performance, by the way. That game showed me all I needed to know about Arsenal this season.
Go on.
It's that simple. As far as the Chelsea game, that was pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. And I completely agree with Kenny that Arsene Wenger has to take the flak for this. Look, the board aren't on the touchline, are they? I know he wasn't on the touchline for the Chelsea game, but the majority of the time, who's on the touchline? Arsene Wenger. So, why do... Honestly, this does my head in. You can point out to me all the useless stats you want, but I'm not having this anymore.
What can we do?
I've had enough. Like, seriously, in my review the other day, I was about to break down in tears. That's how fucking angry I was.
I shouldn't laugh, but I know how you feel. It's got to that point now where it doesn't even hurt me anymore, Colin. That's the thing. I think Lee mentioned it, because this has been happening so much time and time again. For me, I'm oblivious to this anymore. I just want it to change. I want us to compete, like Kenny said. I want us to at least challenge. I want us to make something of the Champions League. You know, I want us to get past the last 16. I want us to take it. I want us to be proud of being Arsenal again.
Honestly, the thing about it, right, I wanted to get behind the manager this season, but I can't, because I am tired of the same old repetitive bullshit for 13 years nearly. Tries to come back at me and say, oh, who could we get? All right, first name I'm going to throw at you, Massimo Allegri.
Juventus
from
manager.
Juventus. Right? He's a name that we could get. And don't try and tell me that Arsenal are not an attractive proposition, because we are. Manager in world football, regardless of the fact that they're in a job or not, would want to join Arsenal. And I'm sorry, but if Arsene Wenger signs that 2-year extension, which supposedly he's been offered,
it's on the table.
If he signs it, it proves two things. He doesn't care about Arsenal, and it shows the ambition of the football club. And on your point, Mems, that we should show Wenger some respect. Sorry, I don't agree with that. Because he has shown blatant disrespect to us over the last year.
How?
Do you remember that press conference?
Yeah.
Do you remember that press conference before the Norwich game, right? When there was going to be a massive protest and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Right? He indirectly blamed the fans for no league title. Is that respect to you?
Do you know what, Colin? What I say when mean respect is, I mean the abuse. Some of the abuse which is sent towards Arsene Wenger, whether it's via Twitter, whether it's, you know, some of the names that he's calls. Well, that's what I mean by the respect. I understand that fans have got an opinion, they can want him out, but there's a way of doing it. There's a way of doing it with dignity and with class. Some of the stuff I
get that, Mems, all right, but no, you can't tell me that Arsene Wenger, because he doesn't. You've only got to look at last season. And as far as the whole team, Kenny's absolutely right. If you're not going to play for the badge, I don't want you playing for us.
Fair enough.
It's that simple. Petr Cech is not a top goalkeeper anymore. He is not. That mistake, the third goal, right, that's what does my head in. Because I don't even know what he was playing at, but Fabregas, all he has to do is lob it, and it goes in. Does a top keeper do that? No.
So you would start Ospina for the Bayern Munich game?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. He's done brilliant when he's come in. A bad word to say about him this season. Okay. Petr Cech, I can't call the amount of times I've had to call him out on stuff. At this point, I'd probably take Chesney back.
He's had a pretty good season at Rome, from what I've seen. He's done pretty well with Rome.
He ain't that bad.
So that tobacco he's been smoking in the change rooms, I think. Colin, you've been an absolute brilliant call, and I love your passion, mate. And thank you very much for your call. I want to get a few more calls in because I want to finish this within the next half hour. So I've got so many calls waiting. So thank you very much, Colin, for your time. I really appreciate it, mate. You're top man.
Always, man.
Cheers, mate. That's Colin. Guys, we're going to take it to Twitter. I'm going to rattle these calls out. So, Demetrius, anything on Twitter?
Yeah, one thing. Just need to check the name again. Sorry. It's a guy who's called Sad Gunnar, and he said, "After all, we all know what happened after Sir Alex left Manchester United." Well, there's a huge difference here. That the last year that Sir Alex Ferguson was in Manchester United, he knew that his squad was not good enough to progress forward. He knew exactly when it was time to leave. And I give him praise for that, to be honest. And the big difference is right now that our squad is in much, much better condition than what Sir Alex Ferguson gave to the next manager. Our squad right now has material which is really good and has the potential to actually win the league. And I'm pretty confident with a different manager who would actually get into the players and get the best out of them, who would actually contend with other big clubs for silverware. Okay. I'm pretty confident about that.
Good. Who's that tweet from?
The Sad Gunnar.
Thanks very much. Can I just add to that quickly, Ben? Can I just add to
go for it.
Sorry. The difference between when Alex Ferguson left to when Arsene Wenger leaves, let's say it's the end of this season, Alex Ferguson left as a winner, a title winner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, with one of the worst squads in Premier League history for a title-winning team. Yeah, if Arsene Wenger left at the end of this season, he ain't leaving a title winner. He ain't leaving a second, third place. We're finishing fourth at best, in my opinion. So the difference between the next man coming in at Man United was he had to achieve a title pretty sharpish, otherwise he was always getting hounded out of there. Yeah, and that's the difference. Arsenal, we ain't won a title for 13 years at the end of this season. So if the next man comes in with a fantastic squad already there, with a few new additions, we might actually win the title. And that is the difference between now and when Alex Ferguson left.
And Lee, do you know what's really funny from what you said? The fact that indeed Sir Alex Ferguson won the league with one of the worst squads of Manchester United. but actually, let me tell you what's really embarrassing. Wenger came out and said that this squad we have right now is one of the best squads he's seen in years. Okay,
himself.
Yeah. So if you can't fucking win the league with one of the best squads he's ever had in his career, then what the fuck, man? I don't know.
I'm going to ask that question.
I mean, just what the fuck, man?
I'm going to ask that question to our next caller. Kenny, I'm going to check Twitter, please, mate. I'm going to come to you after the next caller. It's Aidan from Ireland. How you doing, sir? Welcome to the show. Nice one, mate. I mean, we've been speaking quite passionately for the last hour or so. We're talking about the game against Chelsea. What's your take of it, my friend?
Yeah, I just personally thought it was an absolute joke from the outset. One person I thought that was getting away with murder all season is the midfield, as you've previously talked about, between Coughlin and Xhaka. I know, obviously, Xhaka being suspended. Coughlin, the Man City game, the 2-0 game, when I'd say every single aerial duel. But what he'd done well was that when he won the ball, he would pass it sideways or whatever, he'd just give out to the flanks, and that was his job done. Since that day, passes and he's overlapping runs, trying to get on the end of things, and that's not what you're there for. Yesterday, I mean, you mentioned it there today with the flick. You did yourself. I mean, no one seemed to mention that. I was watching it again today on Sky Sports. They were mentioning, okay, yeah, when he lost the ball, he ran to the ball, and then he couldn't take down Hazard. But what the hell is he trying with these flicks? He's too far up the pitch. He should be sitting in front of the two centre halves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the last 10 away games there against the top 6. We haven't won any. We've drawn 5, lost 5. I mean, that is pathetic. But I mean, just one point I want to draw to is that everyone is leaving the blame with Ozil. I mean, did he play well yesterday? No, he didn't. Did he play well against Watford? He certainly didn't. But I mean, look at last year. I mean, what did he have? 19 assists. I mean, they're saying, I think it was Lee that said, okay, he didn't turn up in the big away games. But I mean, Arsenal didn't. So is that the tactics or what is it? But alone, he scored against both Man United games, scored against Munich. He assisted in that game against Spurs. And I mean, even this year, I mean, West Brom, Boxing Day, I mean, had we not won that, where would we be? I mean, we could have collapsed even earlier than what we have. I mean, that ball in for Giroud, what was it, 89th minute or something? So, Ozil yesterday, again, like personally, when we're going to Stamford Bridge, when we're going to places like Old Trafford, we're not going to have 90% of the possession. And I personally think, like, you know, he's that number 10, so obviously he wants to play that through ball. When you've got Gabriel at right full, he's not making good runs, and even if he does, like, he's not going to do anything with the ball. So I mean, like, he doesn't have the options. And just to get away from Ozil, I know I'm dragging on a bit there, you've a lot of callers now, but Sanchez, like, just because it's Alexis Sanchez, like today now, you have brought him up, and Kenny Ken was big, you know, talking about it, but I mean, like, Sanchez, like, it's as if, like, just because, like, he's got it into his head, especially this season, you know, I am the best player we have.
He's trying too much, though, isn't he, Aidan? He's trying far too much sometimes.
But he might have a simple ball out to Monreal, and instead he thinks, no, I'm better off trying to beat these 4 players, you know, have a shot, whatever, score. But when he loses the ball, just because he goes chasing shadows for 30 seconds and, you know, sprinting after, everyone applauds the work rate, you know, like, as good as he is, like, he can be a lot better. Like, he just needs to be more of a team player, I think. And I just personally think that, you know, back to Ozil, I just think that, like, the blame here is going, like, to go on about his work rate. Like, that goal he got at Watford, I mean, what did he run? 20, 30 yards to get in and head that ball in. Broke that header he got, you know, oxlade-chamberlain crossing the great ball. I mean, I think we're putting the blame here at the wrong players. I think the blame has to be looked at Coughlin, Czech. I mean, even Man City, when we lost that game, he couldn't kick out the ball. It's schoolboy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking just because, like, Ozil didn't choose 42 million to be spent on him. I mean, we could have got him 10 million, 100 million. Like,
he's an easy target.
He's
an easy target, isn't he?
Definitely. And in the past, we were, you know, Van Persie, Adebayor, or Nasri, or we're a selling club. I mean, you're on about there. Let's get rid of our best players. You know, like, personally, you're on about, like, a lot of people on Twitter and that, they're on about dropping players. Okay, I think Czech should be dropped. Monreal, we've got to sort out the midfield. I mean, I know Ramsey wasn't playing, but I mean, he's a joke as well. Like, we've got to try and get the likes of Wilshere back in the team, and we've got to play Ozil. We've got to play our best players. Got to play Sanchez. Even the fans, you know, there's a big talk about that. You know, Ozil shouting, did he applaud him? Didn't he applaud him? Never got any of the attention with the Bournemouth game. He was right next to us over the left-hand side of the pitch. Throws the gloves on the floor and walks off.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if anything, I think it's the opposite way than, like, a lot of people see, is that Ozil is more kind of, you know, I want to play for Arsenal, I want to do stuff. Yeah, his attitude isn't, you know, on the pitch, you know, it looks shocking sometimes. But I mean, even Chris has sat there from ArsenalFanTV, I can't remember when he gave it, but it was that, you know, he actually had the most interceptions in the final third in Arsenal shirt. Like, yeah, I think just the whole thing needs to be reshuffled. I mean, like, it's just year after year, and I think give Wenger the Champions League, and I mean, I think we have a chance against Munich. It's, you know, we as easy as we could go off and lose 6-0 over there, but I think just, I don't know if he can just establish some bit of pride. You know, maybe we might have something to build on for next year, but I'm just sick of it at this stage.
Maybe now, Aidan, now the league is almost sort of out of our hands. Maybe now he will focus on that Champions League, and it might sort of like be his Champions League. So, yeah, it might be it. Listen, Aidan, I really appreciate your call, especially coming on and defending Mesut Ozil. It's nice for fans to come on and sort of defend players. So I really appreciate your time, mate. You made some really valid points. So thank you very much for your call, mate. It's a good call, Aidan from Dublin. Kenny, anything from Twitter, my friend?
Yeah, I've got Gunnar Adam. I think he's very well known. He's in the same mould as Lee.
I know him. He's a good lad.
Good lad. Basically, Gunnar Adams. First thing he's pointed at is let's have a look. There we are. Gunnar, right, mate. He's mentioned something about Czech and Ozil being regulars in the side, and is it, you know, what do they have to do to get dropped? And he's also mentioned the fact about Ozil isn't even our best midfielder at the club, so he just wants to ask the panel's opinion about that.
Do you know what, Ken? I mean, I don't understand that, to be honest with you. Mesut Ozil is a world-class player. I don't understand how people are even sort of saying he's not even the best midfield player at our club.
But all right, I'll answer that question, Mims. All right, if I can answer that question.
Go on.
Mesut Ozil is highly reliant on players like Santiago Cazorla, right? So basically, Cazorla, what Cazorla does is that he's basically our anchor midfielder. He's a two-footed player who's comfortable in position, in possession, he basically can link the basically from the basically the front line of the midfield straight to Mesut Ozil and gives him the play. He's our most vital player. He's technically our best player. Mesut Ozil's got a lot of skill, I'll give you that. But in terms of technique, he's second only to Santi Cazorla. But in terms of that positions where Mesut Ozil plays, either number 10 or the false number 9, whoever he plays him, that's where Mesut Ozil does his best work. But we've seen this season, you take away Cazorla and to a lesser extent Xhaka, Mesut Ozil has to come for the ball in positions where he can't hurt the opposition. He clogs up the midfield. He hasn't got that midfield situation where he can watch runners behind him. So what's happened is he makes himself easy to press. We basically can't get the ball to our attackers, which makes him redundant. He did that a lot against Chelsea, and I think that's where Gunnar Adams is talking about Mesut Ozil in terms of respect. He's looking at the negatives of Ozil's side, and as people have said, maybe what Lee said, Ozil's not suited to our game. But in terms of in terms of Petr Cech, obviously I'm a massive Petr Cech fan. And I feel that personally, Petr Cech has had more good games than bad games, and he's actually saved us. Even the games where he's made mistakes against Watford, Troops says that he should have saved the deflection. I always think that when a goalkeeper is wrong footed by the section, it doesn't matter what speed it goes at. Even if it goes in the middle of the side, you're wrong footed. You're not saving that. But what about the first half? Watford should have been at 4 or 5 up if it weren't for Petr Cech. And that's what Petr Cech gives us. He's a better goalkeeper than Ospina, but I get it. Ospina maybe during running the side. But and I respect everyone's opinion about that. I still think that we've got the best number 1 in the club in Petr Cech. I really do.
We've been calling out for this World Cup goalkeeper for years, haven't we? We put up with Manuel Neuer for donkeys. We've got him. But has he passed his prime? That's the only problem.
He is.
Lee mentioned it just earlier. Lee mentioned that all the great goalkeepers in the Premiership in Europe have proper midfielders who can play defend and attack, and they have a proper defence. How many times did you see players running from midfield straight out of defence when he was playing straight at Chelsea defence when he was there? Can't think of one time really. How many times did you see?
With Cech, it doesn't matter if he's got respective best defence in front of him or best DMs. Some of the shots that have been creeping into the goal near post, the kicking yesterday for the 3rd goal, you can't blame that on the defence, mate.
How many goalkeepers are good at near post? I'll tell you now, wherever you play in goal, when you play if a striker shoots at your near post, it's very difficult to get down. I've seen many a good goalkeeper getting beaten in near post. It used to happen a lot to Peter Shilton. Remember that goal against Poland in 1973 when they scored that goal? That was his near post. The best goalkeepers get down in the near post. But he has a presence at defence, and I think he's still our best number 1. I really
Kenny, I feel that that I have to agree to a certain extent. I mean, I understand that Cech is actually our best right now, but because I don't personally rate a lot Ospina. But the thing is, we got to be realistic, man. I mean, I feel Cech is done because I have 2 main concerns about Cech. The first concern is that actually, if you notice, every attempt that we have from whatever team, he's really, really slow when he's reacting. He's extremely slow when he's reacting. Like, I don't know, it seems like time is going really, really slow for him. Like, he doesn't really move fast. And the second thing is, he's how old now? 33?
He's still young as a goalkeeper. Buffon's still going.
Wait. How old is he? Like 32, 33?
No, he's 34. He's been 35 this year.
All right, so 30, 35. And the thing is, he has won so many Premier Leagues with Chelsea, and he has been really, really experienced because all his career he's been playing in the Premier League. So he can't really be having those kind of reckless mistakes that end up to goals, to stupid goals, like the Fabregas goals when you have so much experience. I mean, this is what you expect from a 35-year-old goalkeeper, to have the experience, to be in the right place in the right time. And you see that, for example, in Buffon.
Just coming in on that as well. Yeah, Adam's got a good point about why can't we drop these people? What have they got to do to get dropped? Right? If you look up in Manchester, Pep Guardiola, people have mugged him off all season, saying, "Oh, it's not Barcelona, it's not Bayern Munich, is it?" Kun Aguero is one of the best strikers in this league, if not the best striker. right? He dropped him for a young kid that's never played in this country before. Yeah, he's made a big decision by doing that, and it paid. Well, I don't know. I don't even know if Man City won. I know it was 1-1. Did they win?
2-1.
They won, and he scored twice, man.
The young kid scored twice.
Well, there you go.
Saying, Lee, should Arsene Wenger give Chuba Akpong a chance?
Well, I said that at the start of the season. You know, when he was banging in goals in pre-season, he should have had a chance, and he didn't. Yeah, you know, at the end of the day, Maitland-Niles, you know, the boy comes in, he plays well. I've been harping on about him as well. At the end of the day, the reason Mesut Ozil's undroppable is because he's the record signing. The reason Peter Cech's undroppable is because there was such a hoo-ha about him coming from Chelsea. Yeah? You know, at the end of the day, Arsene Wenger doesn't make it easy for himself by some of the things he does. You know, there's certain faces at Arsenal that, regardless of performance, are going to get back in that team. Aaron Ramsey, Mesut Ozil, Peter Cech, yeah, Olivier Giroud to a lesser extent this season, but he was always in that team. No matter how he went 15 games in a row without a goal, Mems, and he kept starting.
Ramsey as well was on that list, isn't he?
Well, yeah, I said Ramsey, but you know, at the end of the day, the way I see it is. You pick players on performance. Theo Walcott and Danny Welbeck smashed Southampton. The whole team smashed Southampton up the other week in the Cup. If you're a footballer and you've not played for a few weeks, then you come back into the team and you score a hat-trick and then you're benched the next game. What is that going to do to your head?
Well, he's done that to Lucas, mate. Lucas done that exactly the same. Lucas scored a hat-trick and
he's our record striker signing. That boy can't even get a game in the Premier League. Why? Do you know what? I've got a little theory on him, right? The reason he brought him is to shut up the likes of me up. Yeah? Because we were all crying. I'm being serious, Mems. Like, hear me out here, yeah? Right? We were all crying out for a striker. We need a striker. We need a striker. We need a striker. Yeah? So he went and brought one that no one had heard of. Right? Just to shut everyone up. Right? And he paid 17 million quid for him. Yeah? Not only that, a couple of months ago, he come out with, I didn't realise Perez was so left-footed. This is our record striking signing. Didn't realise it was the same way. I could have told you that.
Is it the same way you thought that Granit Xhaka couldn't tackle? Guys, listen, I'm going to cut you off on your prime because we've got another call. I'm going to knock these calls out because we're running out of time. I've got Afzal. Afzal, I saw your video on ArsenalFanTV, and boy, was you upset yesterday.
You know what, Mems? I don't mind losing if our players show passion and fight. But there's no passion, there's no fight, there's no desire, there's no effort in the team. There's absolutely nothing. What was that yesterday? What was that? The problem in Arsenal goes further than the manager. I've been Wenger out now for 5 years. Van Persie in 2012. And I'm one of the big Wenger out guys. However, the problems are definitely further. I think our team is not good enough as well. I think.
Hang about Afzal. You're saying the squad is not big enough. Arsene Wenger has said that this is our greatest ever squad.
Wenger says I don't really listen to what Arsene Wenger says. But I think the problem is we've also got a big fan problem. Our fans overrate our players so much.
Like who?
So much.
Give me an example, mate.
You know who I'm going to say. Mesut Ozil.
Oh, God.
He is the most overrated player in the league.
Well said.
No, Paul Pogba is the most overrated. Pogba is the most overrated.
He's got that world-class calibre.
Last season, Mesut Ozil got 19 assists. I can't understand all this overrated stuff, mate.
No, okay. Let's break the cake. The first season he came in 2013, 2014. Good first 2 months. Then he went missing, right? I remember that game at Old Trafford when we lost 1-0 when we were top of the table in November 2013. Absolutely he was misplacing passes. And I'm like, no, you know what? It's just, it happens, Then Anfield, a few months later, remember when we lost 5-1? What was that?
Yeah.
It's coming into my head. I'm like, this guy, I'm not sure if he's the player he is. I think
Afzal.
Mesut Ozil goes to... Yes, sorry.
Sorry, mate. Sorry to cut you off, mate. I mean, the caller before you, a gentleman from Ireland, he's turned around and said yesterday there was people that played worse than Ozil, wasn't there?
Of course.
So why is Ozil getting singled out for abuse here, mate?
Let me tell you the exact reason.
Go on,
Because
please.
Ozil's got that world-class caliber to his name. Coquelin, no one's ever said Coquelin's world-class. No one ever has said El Neni's world-class. No one's ever said Xhaka's world-class.
People have told me.
Ever said this player's world-class.
People have told me that. Koscielny has been the best defender since Tony Adams.
They're deluded, Mems. He ain't even the best defender at Arsenal.
Koscielny is good. Don't get me wrong. Koscielny is very, very good. But he has mistakes in him. You see, when he comes against the top strikers, there's always mistakes in him. There's always mistakes in him. Now, the problem with Ozil is that if he was playing in Italy or Spain, he would be very, very good because it's less physical. I don't think he can take the physical of the English Premier League. Yesterday, I had my eyes on him mainly because people say I've got a big agenda against him, yeah? I saw him duck a couple of times, yeah, when the ball was in the air. I saw him jogging back. I saw him not even putting in any effort going to the balls. What was that about? A £42 million player is meant to be a world-class player, and he's meant to put in 100% effort and give the fans something to rave about. Okay, he scored one, which our fans made it look like we'd won the Champions League. Seriously, man, when that goal went in, I went on Twitter and I thought we'd won the Champions League. That's how overhyped our fans were with this goal.
Let me ask you
Ever
something.
since then,
Got AFTV. Last season, Eden Hazard had a stinker, didn't he? Last season. A new manager comes in, gets the best out of him. Do you think another manager with Mesut Ozil at Arsenal can improve him?
he'll improve him, but I think he needs a big kick up the backside. Now, I know people are going to be like, this guy's got an agenda, this guy's hating on the guy. He's got the potential to be world-class, but he's only shown it for half a season in his 4 seasons at Arsenal, which was last season. Remember, first half from August to February, the guy was world-class. The guy was actually, But ever since February last year, he's got about 5 assists, and people start saying, "Oh, he's the assist king, this, that." Nah, I'm sorry, Mems, but there's so many players better than him in the league.
All right, Afsal, I'm going to ask you one more question because I'm going to get them on schools. If you can keep one out of Arsene Wenger or Mesut Ozil, which one would you keep? Aha!
Wenger hasn't got the potential to deliver anymore, whereas Ozil, hopefully under another manager, he can improve. However, I'm gonna also say, like, Francis Coquelin, I've been a huge fan of him. I think he's been very, very good this season. Yesterday he had a poor game. Koscielny had a poor game. Alexis, Alexis is world class. He's always giving his effort. But yesterday, I think when you're playing the top side against Chelsea and you've got Kante on fire, you've got Hazard on fire, it's very hard to play against them. But the problem was the Watford game, and that was very, very disappointing.
I think the problem we've got as well, Afsal, I don't know if you agree with me, is that centre mid, we don't seem to know what our best combination is in centre mid. Is it Xhaka and Ramsey? Is it Xhaka and Santi Cazorla? Is it Coquelin and El Neni? We've seemed to have got like so many options, but we haven't identified who is our best centre mids at the club yet.
It's Coquelin and Cazorla, without a doubt. But the huge problem is Cazorla is injured. I love Cazorla. Cazorla is a very good player, and his injury, he got injured in the Ludogorets game. You know, when we won 6-0, and that was in October. We had 1-6, drawn 1, lost 1 in the Premier League, and we were sitting nicely. Since then, you've seen our performances drop, you've seen the results drop, you've seen a lot drop. Santi Cazorla is a huge factor in midfield. Now, when Xhaka comes back, I think it has to be Coquelin and Xhaka in the centre, or maybe Coquelin and Ox. I'll give huge credit to Ox. Ox played very well. Ox played very well yesterday in the centre. He played very, very well against Southampton in the centre, and against Watford as well. He came into the shift, so I don't mind him. I don't want Ramsey in that team because Ramsey is actually very much more frustrating than Ozil because his sideway passes, the way he gives the ball away.
I agree with you on that.
But one more point
Sure,
I'm going to make.
go on, mate.
Results against the big teams are the one which are going to cost us against the league. If you look at our results against the smaller teams, okay, we have slipped up against Watford, Bournemouth, Middlesbrough, but on the whole, it's usually okay. Last season, we won 2, drawn 5, lost 3 against the big 6. This season, we've won 1, drawn 2, lost 3. That's where it's going to cost us.
Do you know what, Afsal? I agree with you, but do you know the problem?
I'm sorry for ranting.
No, it's absolutely fine. That's what this show's about, mate, is for you to come on and...
I just needed to get it out. But people will say I'm over-exaggerating and I won't blame them.
No, Afsal, I love your passion, mate. Never change, mate. Honestly, it's always...
Ozil's probably going to come in, score a hat trick against. Ozil's probably going to score 2 goals against Hull, and shut me up a bit, but whatever.
No, mate, it would be nice. Sometimes it's nice to be proved wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, I want Arsene Wenger to prove me wrong. I'm sure you want Mesut Ozil to prove you wrong because you want what's best for the club. So, listen, mate, thanks for coming on and ranting.
But I really don't. I think Wenger isn't going to prove us wrong. Wenger, he hasn't proved me wrong for 5 years.
Let's see if he wins the Champions League this year, AFTV. You never know. Until it's we're still in it, so we've still got a chance, mate. Oh, mate, I appreciate your call, AFTV. All the best, bro. What geezer.
Mavs, I've been craving to come into that the Ozil thing with the new manager. It's been like running around my mind for like some time now. The thing is, I'm not gonna say that Ozil is world class because genuinely he is. I mean, if you go back to the days where he was playing for Real Madrid and check how he was playing, man, he was running up and down. He wasn't that lazy dog he is at Arsenal right now. He was genuinely running up and down because he knew that if he wasn't going to do that, Mourinho was going to drop him for starters. And secondly, the people that were on the pitch, either is it Ronaldo, is it Pepe, is it I don't know who, they would genuinely go at him and start, punching him, like swearing at him and be like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Absolutely.
And that's the thing, and I think
it's all too nice at Arsenal. That's the problem. It's all too nice.
I was going to say,
to that, he's way too fucking comfortable at Arsenal, and this is the problem.
They all are.
I agree with both of what you said.
Like I can imagine. I mean, you see, going into the.
You saw Mustafi. Did you see Mustafi when Ramsey made a mistake against Watford?
Yeah.
On the halfway line when they scored their second goal. Mustafi turned around and absolutely was giving Ramsey a load of abuse. I think that we need to have more players like that, more winners.
Yeah, but
the problem is that
Mustafi got done by the easiest drop of a shoulder ever. So I don't think he was in any position to be screaming at Ramsey.
Guys, I'm going to try and bring some balance to this show, and I think I've got a caller that might do that. His gentleman's name's Ollie. He's a first-time caller. When I spoke to him earlier on, I said, are you Wenger in or Wenger out? And he says to me, I'm on the fence. So we've had a number of calls today saying Arsene Wenger's got to go. Try and bring some balance to this show and tell us why Arsene Wenger should stay.
Yeah, how's it going? I think I would have been out earlier, but I've been thinking on things, and it's just... Is basically, I want Wenger to do well, but because I love the guy and I think that he is generally a nice guy and some good things to the club, but he just can't continue the way he is. There's so many problems at the club in terms of the tactics. I mean, if you look at the game yesterday, it's just crazy. Everybody going into that game that we're just going to lose. So.
Ollie, do you think it's like it is the tactical thing though? Because Wenger's said that he's got the best players at the club, and from my experience and from when I look at the squad on paper, you've got Cech, you've got Ospina, you've got some fantastic players in each position. I think we've got 2 players in each position that can fight. The attackers that we've got in Welbeck, Lucas, Giroud, Sanchez, Theo. We've really got some really tasty players at the club. So do you think it's just a case of blending them all together with some tactics and some man management, or do you think it's the players?
Absolutely. It all stems from the manager, doesn't it? And what they do on training ground and the way he motivates them. I think ultimately, if you look at the way you perform in big games and games when the pressure's on. I was at the game on Tuesday. That's in Watford. I finished work, went up there, didn't get home until like 1:30 in the morning. And you just think, why am I actually going to the game? It's just ridiculous. Like, then games where the pressure's on, where you can put pressure on, people like Chelsea are at the top, and we just flop. That first half was absolutely abysmal. That's the worst game I've ever seen at the Emirates in terms of our performance. Because Shawnee was all over the place, the whole mood. And then you've got fans, like, when you're trying to stand up and get the place going, moaning at you. There's just, the problem is, I haven't got enough time to go through everything. And, most fans will probably agree as to why the club is where it is at the moment. And whether that's Wenger, whether that's the fans, whether that's the board. And I think it's just a massive contribution. And that's now, poisoning. I think like DT made a really good point yesterday. It's poisoning the whole fans. And that's, I think, because if you look at clubs like Chelsea this season, Tottenham, everyone's together, everybody's pushing towards one goal, and it hurts me to say that, especially the Spurs, but everybody's pushing to one thing, and that's just not the same with us.
I agree with you, Ollie, but there seems to be this. I mean, we spoke about it so many times. This divide between the fans. You've got your Wenger ins and your Wenger outs. Well, I was at the game against Watford as well, and the start to the game was really, really bad. I mean, you could hear a pin drop around the stadium, and it didn't actually get to the second half until when the actual proving that the fans actually started getting behind the team. And I think that as fans, we've got to be a bit more responsible as well and get a lot more behind the sports. You see the away fans. The away fans are absolutely brilliant. Home fans, it's toxic over there. It's really bad.
Absolutely. Unless you're in North Bank, you can't sing. I'm not fortunate enough to have a ticket in North Bank because I share my cousin's ticket over in the East End. But you know, unless you're in North Bank, you can't go up and sing, and that's why I think something like a singing section will help as well. But yeah, I think the time's up, isn't it? Really.
Listen, mate. I mean, there's talks of all types of things. I mean, there's talks of groups trying to get together and get to the safe standing, rented singing section. But as fans, I mean,
something I wanted to touch on as well is how can we do something as fans to try and change what's actually going on?
Well, Lee mentioned a point earlier on about boycotting games and boycotting merchandising. Remember, I mean, if you've got a season ticket and you've had a season ticket within your family for years and years, I can't see how giving up your season ticket or not going to games is going to help and support the team. I think that's going to probably have a negative. However, like what I said, Henry said from the corner from abroad, at the end of the day, the board might sit up and take notice because you're hitting them financially in the pocket. So I don't really know, apart from sort of like protesting or whatever, there is that something you can do. I mean, what do you think?
It's a difficult one, Menz, because as fans, we should be the ones to be able to try and affect stuff. I mean, we had that thing last year, didn't we? Climate change. I mean, what the bloody hell happened with that?
Well, mate, I was heavily involved in that. I mean, I went down to the game and I printed off a number of banners and I was doing my bet. I was trying my bet, but I was getting a bit of abuse on the roundabout. People telling me that.
Exactly, that's the problem, man. That's the problem. Again, it all stems down to this issue. And unfortunately, as much as I do love Wenger and I do think he's done amazing things for the club, it comes down to him because that's the reason why there's this 50-50. If you saw last season again, Chelsea, I think this Chelsea game's really sort of showed us where we are in terms of like a club. If you look at Chelsea last year, they was 50-50. Lots of people saying Jose should go, he shouldn't go. Look at them now; they're now top of the league, and you made the point the other day as well. Change of manager can do that, but there's got to be change. How we do it, if the kids not going, I don't know, because then how do you get back onto the season ticket again? You can't. That's going to be 20 years time before you ever get back on that. And ultimately, there's just going to be 50,000 other people which come back in.
Exactly that, mate. You're going to get a load of tourists who are going to come in and take your place. What I was speaking to Chris Hudson earlier on via Twitter as well and via text, and he says that everyone should just boycott one game. You pick one game, which is, and then just even though you don't give up your season ticket, you just don't turn up to that game. So one empty stadium or something like that might do the job, so that everyone sits up and takes note. But again, how's that going to help the players? Because at the end of the day, if we lose points, then that's going to hurt us as well, isn't it?
The thing is as well, as fans, you've got to do something which is public, because otherwise it doesn't get noticed. You go and stand outside the stadium on a cold Wednesday night, we've got no game, but that's not going to make any difference, is it? You've got to do it when it's public, and also as well, I think it's got to be something financially, and how you do that. I think it's got to be some form of protest. Whether you're AKB or WOB, I think WOB, everybody who is WOB, it just needs to come together and actually do something and make something happen, because I think if you're not, then obviously they're not going to do anything. But if you are, if there is that that half that fan base which are really, really, really striving to get Wenger out, then perhaps maybe something happens. But until then, who knows? I
think what we need, Ollie, is a few of these hardline Wenger loyalists that make so much of excuse and try and find excuses for him and pick out everything apart from Arsene Wenger. They maybe need to swallow some pride. Club first, That's my opinion.
The club has got to come first, and again, obviously, I do like Wenger, and I understand why people do have their loyalty. But you can't continue the way things are. Just one point I wanted to make as well. Mesut Ozil, there's absolutely no doubt Mesut Ozil is a world-class player. If you look actually from a creative player's point of view, what he has to do in the game, the amount of chances Mesut Ozil actually creates. But someone then doesn't finish them off like a Giroud or Welbeck or whoever it is, he could have 3 or 4 assists in a game sometimes. It's not always about the assists in terms of a creative midfielder. It's actually the chances which he creates.
I agree.
I think that's something which people don't look at often because it's not a stat which is always put on TV.
Yeah, I agree. Ollie, you've been a brilliant call. Thanks very much for calling the show. You first time you've been on, mate, and I definitely would like to get you on again, mate. You spoke a lot of truth.
No, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Appreciate it, Ollie. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, boys. See you later. Bye.
Cheers, mate.
Bye, mate. Listen, I'm going to get one more call on. So if we can just all go back to Twitter while I get this last call on, because I'm going to wrap up the show next.
Sorry, bruv. I'm going to
Yes,
have to
mate.
love you and leave you, mate.
Go on in, matey.
Sorry, mate.
So, Kenny, do you need to leave me as well?
Well, we've got.
I know you've got another show to go on, haven't you? Go on, lads. Listen, thanks very much for both coming on. I much appreciate you both coming on and for your time. I know we've dragged on. We've had so many callers on. So thank you very much, Lee, and thank you very much, Kenny. Good luck with your other show, gents.
Thanks, Scott.
No worries.
Cheers,
In a minute, we'll take my last caller. Is one of my favourites on Twitter as well. He's an absolute lunatic. He's a lovely guy. Sam, how you doing?
I'm very good, guys. How are y'all doing?
We're really good, mate. It's a pleasure to have you on Arsenal Fans TV, mate. Like I said, you're one of my favourites on Twitter. You know, with your periscopes, you crack me up. You're one of these guys that if I'm having a bad day, I'll go to your account and you do something funny. So please cheer me up. What can we do at Arsenal now to make our season worthwhile so it's not a disaster, mate?
We'll start off with get rid of Wenger. Everybody says this all the time. Get rid of Wenger. Yeah. We do need to do that. But then, we want Simeone. We want to we all want all this stuff, don't we? But at the end of the day, when you want a new manager, who are we gonna what are we gonna do if they're not available? What do we do then? We gotta look at others as well, don't we? And going to yesterday's performance, everyone's all blaming the players, this, that, and the other. I understand that Chelsea outdid us. I mean, look at Conte, for example. After they got an ass kicking by us at the Emirates, what did he do? He changed everything around, and look where they are.
That's exactly what it is, mate. That's exactly what it is. He got beat by Arsenal. He looked at his current bunch of players and he changed the formation accordingly. Now, Arsene Wenger, he hasn't done that. It doesn't matter who we play. It's the same tactics week in, week out. So this is why a lot of people are saying tactically, because Arsene Wenger's got the players available, I would personally like, Sammy, to see 2 strikers. I would like to see Danny Welbeck up front with Alexis Sanchez, or Danny Welbeck up front with Olivier Giroud and Alexis Sanchez on the left. I would like to see Arsene Wenger do something different.
I'd love to see us go back to a 4-4-2. I mean, look at the days where we were the Invincibles. Look at the days we had Vieira and Gilberto. We played a 4-4-2 then, and that created Henry and Bergkamp to players too. And they were absolutely phenomenal. I don't understand why we don't do that now. Like you said, I'd love to see Alexis with Welbeck. I'd love to see Perez play up front. I'm sure Perez is a striker. I'd love to see Giroud play up front with either Alexis, Welbeck, or Perez. I'd love to see it, but we just don't. We just don't do it. We just stick to the same old ways. I don't know why we still do it.
Do you know why? I'll tell you why, Sam. Is because Mesut Ozil's in the team, and if we was to play 4-4-2, I don't know how we'd accommodate Mesut Ozil at the side. When we played the 4-4-2, and we won 49 games unbeaten, we had that defensive midfield rocks of Vieira and Gilberto, and then we had the wingers who could bomb forward in Perez and Ljungberg, and we had Henry and Bergkamp. We haven't really got those defensive midfield players anymore. That's the problem. We've got Xhaka, but he's not really a defensive ball winner. He's a good distributor like Alonso. We don't really have that destroyer in midfield apart from Francis Coquelin. Who is he good enough? I mean, we saw yesterday the mistakes he made. So this is the problem. I would love to see us play a 4-4-2. I just don't think we've got the DMs. We haven't got the Vieira type at the club at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, like with Coquelin, what Hazard's fun him. You know what that remind me of?
Go on.
Like you have them remote control cars, and when they run out of battery, he goes, woo, it just spins around. That's what it reminded me of. Like,
brilliant.
What are you doing? What are you doing? And people talk about Koscielny. Oh yeah, that he's the closest thing to Tony Adams. What are you guys deluded?
Sam, I'm going to ask you one question, mate. Peter Cech or Spina? We got Bayern Munich in the Champions League in a couple of weeks. Who do you play in goal?
I have to go with Ospina. I will have to go for Ospina. I mean, Cech's the third goal that Fabregas scored, that was comical. That was just like, what is this? Like, I'm just looking at the TV and my cousin's laughing at me. I'm looking at this. I'm laughing at myself, thinking, what are you doing?
But it was It was nice that because I tweeted it to Fabregas as well. It was nice that he didn't celebrate. because we all remember Robbie and Van Persie scoring against us and Addy Bayor. So it was actually nice that Cesc Fabregas showed the fans a little bit of respect and didn't celebrate.
Yeah, with Fabregas, you know, it was good to see him do that. I expected him to run around and go, yeah, I just scored. He just didn't celebrate, and you know, it just showed that he still has respect for the club no matter what. But then, what Kenny Ken said a couple of weeks ago, I remember watching on Fan TV, he said that, you know, Fabregas was a bad egg at the club because he did not want to train, he did not want to do this, he did not want to do that, and then, you know, he shipped himself up to Barcelona and signed the other. I mean, it's understandable he has respect for the fans, but when that time when you wanted to leave, why did you not have respect for the fans then?
Exactly. It's true. You made a good point, Sam. And Sam, it's a pleasure to have you on Arsenal Fans TV Extra. Thanks very much for your call. I'm going to love you and leave you, mate, but I'll continue to engage with you on Twitter, and you'll always cheer me up, mate. So keep on doing what you're doing. You're an absolute legend, man.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
Cheers, mate. All the best. If you don't follow him because he's a lunatic. He's a right laugh. Demetrius,
give me.
You know him. I'll send you his details later. Demetrius, is there anything on Twitter, mate, that you want to raise before we wrap up the show, mate? Or anything you want to do in closing?
Well, most of the things people are actually that mentioned, it's things that we actually covered. One thing I would like to say before we wrap up is actually two things. I'm going to be really quick. First of all, I would really love to see Wenger to give chance to people like Lucas Perez. Because Perez has proved that whenever he's playing, he's always influential, either by scoring or providing assists. I don't know, genuinely, I don't know who it was, but I saw a guy who made a tweet about it, who said that, what the fuck does the lad have to do to actually get a spot? And I have to agree with him. Like, he's scoring goals. Yeah, he's scoring goals. He's providing assists, and he's always influential. I mean, what the hell does he have to do to actually play?
I don't know.
I don't understand Wenger.
He scored a hat-trick. He's done well. He's getting it. I just don't understand it. We paid big money for him, but now it looks like Danny Welbeck's got into the team. He's pushed behind Danny Welbeck. I don't understand it. I think maybe he's going to have to wait until someone picks up an injury or something, because he seems like he's got talent.
I just think it's the reluctance of Wenger of dropping certain people. This is where it comes to. I believe, like, I'm really confident about it, that it's about Wenger's reluctant. I'm sure that Wenger knows that he's contributing really positively in the games, but he's really reluctant to drop players like Ozil, for example. And in my opinion, I think it would be good for Ozil to actually be dropped and give him an incentive to play better, because right now he has no fucking incentives. I mean, he knows that even if he's the worst player on the pitch, he's going to be next week again, inside and playing again. And the other thing I would like to say, in order to wrap it up, is right now, the way I see it, it's quite sad, because it has become really toxic, really, really toxic. And the thing is, right now, even changes would create even more toxicity. And what I mean by that is, let's say Wenger decides to step down, okay? The one scenario. If you step down, then you have all the AKBs going berserk and start blaming the people who actually forced Wenger out, because the only way I see Wenger stepping out is if he's hurt by the fans. There's no other way. He will just step down because he's really, really hurt and he cares about the fans. At least that's how I see it. But if, let's say, he doesn't step down and he renews, then all the people that want Wenger out, they're going to go berserk, and they will probably not go to watch Arsenal, or they will be extremely devastated. And I don't blame them, to be honest, because I want Wenger out myself. But then there's the other scenario, that if, let's say, Wenger goes and we get a new manager, and that new manager doesn't bring the success we want really, really fast, then people will turn toxic again, and they'll start, you wanted Wenger out, and now look, we got a new manager, he's failing, and that's the problem right now. And what is the only way for the toxicity to be solved is actually if all the fans stop finding ways of blaming each other, because right now, for a lot of fans, it's not anymore going to watch the Arsenal, it's going to see and prove a point to the other part of Arsenal. For example, for the AKBs to prove a point to the AWOBs, and the AWOBs proving a point to the AKBs. So the only way for this toxicity to stop is for all fans to come together and actually get the best for Arsenal. I mean, give it a shot. Let's get a change. See how it works. If it doesn't work, then you know what? Some people will prove some other people wrong, but eventually it might work. This is the only way it can come down. Or if people just want to be content with fourth place, then I don't know, man. Like, I don't know, like, Jesus.
No, you're making some really good points there, and I agree with you. It would be nice to get their fan base reunited. I've got one more call, Demetrius. I've got to take. He's a gentleman that's been waiting so long. Akbar, how you doing, sir? Good evening.
Good, mate.
I'm so sorry, mate. We've been going 2 hours, and you're the last one, mate. But I've saved.
No, really enjoyed the show, man. Listening to the different callers, mate. Some very interesting points.
Cheers, mate. It's been a busy night. There's so many people that have been sort of like passionate and wanting to get on and speak. You know, it's you know, we've had every type of debate tonight, Akbar. You know, we've talked about the board, we talked about Wenger, we talked about individual players, we talked about tactics, we talked about, you know, I mean, when I looked at the game yesterday, no one's mentioned it yet, and I promised someone I would talk about the actual challenge on Hector Bellerin, the elbow. I mean, not many people talking about that. If that would have been a striker that done that to a goalkeeper, that goal would have been ruled out. You know, but yeah, I mean, we saw it today with Jamie Vardy and De Gea. You know, there was a little elbow and the referee blew up. Why wasn't that a foul yesterday?
I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I was at the game and it happened. And I was right in front. It happened right in front of us. We were in the first row, and I just couldn't believe it. He was just completely poleaxed. I mean, there is this argument about, you know, the ball was there to be won, but I mean, Hector, yeah, absolutely no chance. I mean, the way I don't know if you saw on Twitter earlier, but if you saw, there was a picture of him. It was like a Vine kind of.
Yeah, I saw it. He looked in a bad way, didn't he?
I just couldn't believe it, man. But to be honest, man, it's away from the fact that we were absolutely awful yesterday. I mean, in my 25 years of supporting Arsenal, yesterday was probably one of the worst experiences ever. I mean, just with everything that happened, you know, obviously on the pitch, our performance, the fighting in the stands, it was just, do you know what? Because the worst thing was, man, their fans were absolutely lapping it up.
Yeah, of course they were. I heard them singing, Arsene Wenger, we want you to stay, which was. It just shows, you know, that even the away fans know what's the problem at Arsenal, and you know, and some of our Arsenal fans can't admit it, but even the away fans are using that now as a tool to mock us.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, man, it all comes from the top. I mean, the manager is also to blame as well. I mean, quite a few years ago now. I mean, when Ivan Gazidis was appointed, I mean, he was on the panel for the interview.
He was. Yeah.
I mean, which manager in the world, you know, is able to appoint their own CEO who's supposed to put pressure on the manager? It's just that just shows the cultural problem at Arsenal at the moment. Well, not at the moment, but it's been like that for years. And I mean, yesterday, man, the second goal. I'm sorry, man, I've got to get this off my chest.
Please do.
You know, yesterday, I mean, I was just fuming. I had, you know, all the emotions, you know, upset, angry, frustration. But, you know, today, you know, the contact day, I was able to analyse it, look back at the match of the day, and the second goal was an absolute disgrace. And this is the problem, you see. We total winning teams and the top teams. You've seen the top teams in the past, us, Chelsea, Man United. We've all had that bit of, you know, these teams have been cynical in the past. That second goal that we conceded, why didn't someone take him out and take one for the team and take yellow? Absolutely, I just couldn't understand. I mean, from the moment it started, I just knew he was heading into the box, and it just spelled trouble for us. But why can't we be cynical and a bit nasty, take him out and take the yellow card, and you know? I
promise you, if Granit Xhaka was playing yesterday, he would have taken him out, mate.
Yeah, absolutely true. But you know, I'm at the end of my tether. I mean, yesterday it was just like I said, it was one of my worst experiences. You know, watching Arsenal, and you know, it's just at the point now where it's just you go. It's like you said earlier, like you go beyond the point where you want to rant. It's got to that point now, and I just hope it is his final season, man. I mean, I love the guy, everything that he's done, but I just hope now is the time. It will be time this summer. Yeah.
Do you know what, mate? I put this tweet out this afternoon. I said I was going to do a show, and I said that everyone's welcome to come on. I inboxed a number of people. Who are very loyal to Arsene Wenger, and I really wanted someone to come on this show tonight to come and say to everybody and to put a case forward to why they feel Arsene Wenger deserves to sign the new contract and stay. No one has done that, and I think now it's got to the point where everyone now needs can clearly see that it's got really bad, and everyone's questioning whether or not he can take us to that next level anymore. Everyone's very grateful for what he's done, Ekbal. Everyone loves the man. Some of the best memories I've got as an Arsenal supporter of thanks to Arsene Wenger. And I hate the abuse that he gets, but I think it's now got to a point where someone at the club has got to tap him on the shoulder and say, "Mate, let's go for a coffee. Do you know what? I think it's time for you to go."
Yeah.
You know?
Well, this is where we're going to find out, members, if our board is, you know, if they've got balls of steel, and if they can put their money where their mouth is now, because they've got a real decision to make. And like you said earlier, I think, I can't remember which caller you said it to earlier, but it's time for someone to make an announcement to tell us fans, like real fans, what's happening, whether he will be taking it forward for another 2 years, or whether he's going to go, because I think it's affecting the team morale. It's showing with the performances on the pitch, and, you know, none more evident than yesterday.
I agree, mate. Mate, listen, onwards and upwards. We've got our next game to look forward to. We've got the Champions League to look forward to. You know what I mean? You never know. This might be our year. Now we're out of the league almost. Mathematically, we're out of the league. Champions League might be ours. And that's it. Hopefully, Arsene Wenger wins the Champions League. And he has that open top bus and he signs off with a big smile on his face. Thanks very much, Ekbal. I appreciate it, mate.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be on the way to the town hall in Islington, but you never know.
You never know, mate. My hair might grow back as well, but I very much doubt it. Mate, it's been a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, man.
Cheers, mate. Bye, mate.
See you, mate. Bye.
Bye, mate. On that note, we're going to wrap up the show. Demetrius, I want to thank you for your 2 hours input. I want to thank Lee. I want to thank Ken as well. I want to thank all the calls. So many calls tonight. I could have got another 10 on, honestly. It's been that busy tonight. It's been a 2-hour show. We've had over 2,000 people watching us live. Thanks to Robbie for letting me do this show tonight, and thanks for everybody that's actually tuned in and watched. Thanks for everyone that's tweeted, and keep on watching Arsenal Fans TV. I know a lot of people don't agree with it, but it gives everybody an opportunity to come out and speak, whether you're pro Wenger, whether you're anti Wenger, whether you live abroad, whether you go every game. This is your channel to get that stuff off your chest and to come on and have a word and to rant about the club that we all love. And I want to thank you all for watching tonight. It's been a really good show. And until next time, I don't know when that next time will be, but I'll try and keep these shows going because I know there's so many people that actually like them. So from Demetrius, thanks very much, Demetrius.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure being again, man.
It's a pleasure to you. And anyone told you look a bit like Mesut Ozil?
Oh, really?
Mate, it could be worse. It could be worse. All right, lads, listen, thank you very much. And how do they say it in Greek?
What do you want? Yeah, Galinita. Yeah.
Galinita. Oh, mate.
Galinita,
take care.
everyone, thank you.
Take care, mate. All the best. Good night, Arsenal.